Chapter 239. Imperial concubine Xian, who was hit in the stomach, held her stomach and screamed. It happened so fast that no one could react. Only when they heard Imperial concubine Xian's painful moan did they see that Imperial concubine Xian's dress was red. "Quick, doctor, check on the Imperial concubine and try to hold the baby," Ning Shu quickly said to the doctor. Imperial concubine Xian was sitting on a chair. Her dress was stained with blood. Her face was very pale and she was crying. She reached out her hand to Huaqing. Huaqing hesitated and held Imperial concubine Xian's hand. Seeing that Imperial concubine Xian was very weak, Huaqing said in despair, "Emperor, please save our child." Huaqing didn't say anything. He just nodded. Imperial concubine Xian's face was getting paler. Even with the doctor's acupuncture, the bleeding couldn't stop. Ning Shu watched from the side and shook his head. Imperial concubine Xian couldn't keep the baby. "Emperor, Imperial concubine Xian's body was very weak. She couldn't get pregnant. The baby was unstable and was hit hard. I am useless. Imperial concubine Xian has had a miscarriage." The doctor knelt on the ground and kowtowed. Imperial concubine Xian endured the pain and fainted. She didn't know anything. Huaqing's face flashed with a strange joy, but it quickly disappeared. He coldly said to the doctor, "Do your best to nurse Imperial concubine Xian's body back to health. No matter what medicine you use it. You must nurse Imperial concubine Xian's body back to health." "I will remember." The doctor saw that Huaqing didn't blame him and wiped away his cold sweat. "Emperor, it is windy in the garden. Take Imperial concubine Xian back to her palace," Ning Shu said to Huaqing. Huaqing's face was a bit strange. He hesitated a bit before carrying Imperial concubine Xian to her palace. Ning Shu saw Huaqing's hesitant face and despised him. He was happy to hug an animal, but when he was asked to hug his woman, he acted like he was a germaphobe. "Qingwang, go back first." Ning Shu asked Qing Zhu to take the two children back. Huaqing grabbed Ning Shu's clothes. Ning Shu asked, "What is it?" "Mother, be careful." Huaqing quietly said to Ning Shu, "Father smiled just now." Ning Shu was slightly stunned and asked, "When?" Her attention was all on Imperial concubine Xian, so she didn't notice Huaqing's expression. It was when the imperial physician said that imperial consort Nyangnyang's child couldn't be saved that this son saw the corners of imperial father's mouth curl up. Huaqing frowned. "Mother, you have to believe me. I really saw it. Imperial mother believes in you." Ning Shu patted Huaqing's head. "Quickly go back with Qingzhu." Ning Shu caught up with Huaqing and glanced at Huaqing's side profile. His side profile was very cold, which made his facial features even more deep and charming. However, Ning Shu felt a chill in his heart. He actually smiled when his woman had a miscarriage. Soon, they arrived at Imperial concubine Xian's bedroom. Huaqing placed the unconscious Imperial concubine Xian on the bed and then said to the Imperial physician, "Treat Imperial concubine Xian well." Huaqing stood by the bed, but his eyes kept looking outside the hall. Ning Shu said, "Empress, Zhen still has matters to attend to. You stay here with Imperial concubine Xian. If there is anything, send someone to report to Zhen." Ning Shu didn't even want to look at Huaqing. She lowered her head and said, "Emperor, Imperial concubine Xian's miscarriage wasn't an accident. She was hit in the stomach by a little fox. Qinxia feels that an explanation should be given to Imperial concubine Xian. The little fox harmed the imperial heir and shouldn't be let off so easily." The other concubines in the hall looked at each other and didn't speak. They all looked at Huaqing. Huaqing's face twitched. He waved his sleeve and said, "We'll talk about this later." "Emperor." Ning Shu raised her head and looked at Huaqing. "Emperor, the Imperial concubine Xian's stomach is also your child. That fox killed your child. Why don't you seek justice for Imperial concubine Xian and the child? It's just an animal. Just beat it to death." "Shut up." Huaqing couldn't help but interrupt Ning Shu's words. Then he realized that he had lost control of his emotions. He lowered his voice and said, "Zhen will compensate the Empress for this matter. As for the little fox, it's just an animal that doesn't know anything. Can Zhen's child come back if I beat it to death?" Wouldn't Jin be sad to lose the child? Compensate imperial concubine Xian, but the culprit was completely fine. He was so cold. Even though Ning Shu had experienced several worlds, she couldn't help but feel a chill in her heart. Even a vicious tiger wouldn't eat its cubs. And Hu Qing actually wanted this child to disappear so that it wouldn't affect his relationship with the little fox. If he wasn't cold and heartless to other women, it seemed that he couldn't show his affection for the female lead. Ning Shu suppressed the anger in her heart and said faintly, "Qinxia understands. Take care, Emperor." Hu Qing turned and left. His back was a bit embarrassed. "Empress, are we just going to let it go like this?" Concubine Ning Shu asked. Ning Shu waved her hand. "You can go back. If you have nothing to do, stay in your palace and don't wander around." The concubines retreated, but everyone's expression was very gloomy. If a concubine had a miscarriage before, of course, they would gloat. But now, everyone's heart was weighed down by a stone, and it was heavy with uneasiness. Basin after basin of bloody water was carried out. After a long time, the imperial physician came out of the side hall. Ning Shu asked, "How is imperial concubine Xian?" The imperial physician shook his head. Imperial concubine Xian's body is severely damaged. It will be difficult for her to get pregnant in the future. Ning Shu sighed. The palace was really a gloomy place. Ning Shu said, "Try to nurse her back to health. No matter what medicine is used, it will do. Even His Majesty said so." The imperial physician nodded. Ning Shu walked into the bedchamber. There was a strong smell of blood inside. Imperial concubine Xian was lying on the bed with her hair disheveled. Her face was as white as paper, and her complexion was very poor. Her exposed shoulders looked very thin, making people feel pity for her. Ning Shu sat by the bed and took a handkerchief to wipe the cold sweat on imperial concubine Xian's forehead. The little fox was lucky to have Hu Qing's lifelong love. But what about the women in the harem? How cruel was he to so many women in the harem? If he didn't like her, then he shouldn't have chosen so many women to enter the palace. Such a beautiful woman might be happier if she married someone else. "Empress, let me do it," imperial concubine Xian's maid, Ning Shu, said. Ning Shu nodded and gave the handkerchief to imperial concubine Xian's personal maid. "Empress, the smell of blood in this hall is very strong. Please move." The maid, Ning Shu, said. The maid's eyes were red as she endured the pain. Ning Shu said indifferently, "It's fine. I will wait here for imperial concubine Xian to wake up." Qing Zhu sent the two children back and then came over. She stood beside Ning Shu and waited for imperial concubine Xian to wake up. "Qing Zhu, pour me a glass of water." Ning Shu felt very thirsty. Imperial concubine Xian woke up at night. When she saw Ning Shu by her bedside, she was stunned for a moment. Then she hurriedly touched her stomach and cried, "My child, my child, my child." Her voice was like a blood-sobbing cuckoo, sorrowful and desperate. Chapter 240. Lady Xian was devastated. When her emotions stabilized, Ning Shu wanted to comfort her. But when the words came out of his mouth, he didn't know what to say. Could it be that she would have a child in the future? First of all, Lady Xian's body was injured, so it would be difficult for her to get pregnant. Secondly, Hu Qing had to keep his chastity for the little fox. He didn't even want to enter the harem. Lady Xian's body was very weak. After a heart-wrenching cry, her body trembled. Her forehead was covered in cold sweat, and her hair was wet. How did the emperor deal with that fox? "My child is gone. I just learned of his existence, and he's gone." Lady Xian hammered her chest with her hand, tears streaming down her face. This was the plain's cannon fodder. They decorated the lives of the protagonists, but they were also flesh and blood. They could feel pain and sadness. Ning Shu sighed and said, "The body is the foundation. Without a good body, how can you take revenge?" Lady Xian looked at Ning Shu and sneered. She said sarcastically and sadly, "You must be very happy right now." "Why would I be happy? Something like this is not something to be happy about." Ning Shu raised his eyebrows and said in surprise. Lady Xian smiled sadly. "I don't have a child now. Your child is no longer a threat. Your Highness, I'm tired. I want to rest. Ning Shu said indifferently, let's not talk about whether the child in your belly is a boy or a girl. Even if it's born, it won't be a threat to me. I'm the Empress and my child is the eldest son. As long as I don't make any mistakes and my child doesn't make any big mistakes, my child will be the first in line to the throne. Besides, I still have the marshal's mansion behind me. Xiao Xiao had such a good card in her hand, yet she ended up in the end. It was only love and jealousy that made her lose her mind. If Xiao Xiao had been more rational and ruthless, she wouldn't have ended up like this. If a woman wasn't ruthless, her status wouldn't be stable. Xiao Xiao could only blame herself for falling in love with an emperor. Not everyone was a little fox who could turn a cold and hard emperor into a soft and gentle one. Imperial concubine Xian was stunned by Ning Shu's straightforward words. Her body trembled even more violently, and she cried silently. It was even more heartbreaking than before. Her face was filled with despair, indifference, and sadness. Ning Shu said, "The emperor will give the Grand Preceptor's mansion an explanation. He will compensate you." Noble consort Xian was the granddaughter of the Grand Preceptor, who had assisted 2 generations of emperors. Although she had retired, she was still very influential in the imperial court. Compensation? My child is gone. Can you return my child and let my child come back to life? I've been waiting for this child for countless years, but I still haven't felt his existence. Seeing that the imperial consort was crying, Ning Shu questioned. Please forgive me, Your Highness. My imperial consort is too sad. She didn't mean to offend Your Highness, Imperial consort Xian's personal maid explained hurriedly. Ning Shu waved his hand and didn't care. The personal maid said to Imperial consort Xian, Your Highness, before you woke up, the Empress wanted to seek justice for you in front of the Emperor. She wanted to kill the little fox, but the Emperor didn't agree. Imperial consort Xian was stunned for a moment, and then she said, Thank you, Your Highness. You and I are both women. I can understand your pain, Ning Shu said. Have a good rest. Imperial consort Xian was helped to lie down by the maid. At this moment, the sound of hurried footsteps came from outside the palace garden. Ning Shu and Qing Zhu said, Go out and see what happened. Qing Zhu went out for a while and then came back in. She glanced at Imperial consort Xian on the bed without saying anything. Imperial consort Xian said in a hoarse voice, Tell me, what happened? I am just a person who is waiting to die. What can I accept? Your Highness, Qing Zhu said to Ning Shu, there are Imperial guards outside. Imperial guards? Why are they walking in the palace so late at night? Ning Shu frowned. Qing Zhu glanced at Imperial consort Xian and said, I heard that the little fox disappeared in the afternoon. They haven't found her yet. The Emperor is worried, so he sent people to look for her. Ta! Ning Shu sneered. Imperial consort Xian clutched the quilt so tightly that her knuckles turned white. Tears flowed down from the corners of her eyes. Ning Shu really thought that Huaqing was as cold as a beast. His woman had a miscarriage, but he still cared about the little fox who made a mistake. Imperial consort Xian, take care of yourself. There will be a good show to watch in the future. If you want to take revenge, you have to take care of yourself, Ning Shu said to Imperial consort Xian. Even if you are sad to death now, no one will care. Ning Shu stood up and patted Imperial consort Xian's cold hands. Get up. You will see what you want to see. Let's do it together. Farewell, Your Highness. This concubine will remember what Your Highness the Empress said today. Imperial consort Xian looked at Ning Shu with a determined look. There was a burning light in her eyes, a flame of hatred. Ning Shu turned and walked out of Imperial consort Xian's palace. Walking in the Imperial garden, he saw Imperial guards holding lanterns and shuttling between the fake mountains and trees. Obviously, they were looking for the little fox. Ning Shu curled his lips. Since they loved each other so much, he would let them be together in the future. Your Highness, does the little fox know some sorcery? Why is the Emperor like this? Qing Zhu felt strange. Sorcery? Perhaps? Ning Shu said ambiguously. When Ning Shu returned to her palace, Huaqing was still waiting for her. Ning Shu felt as if a fire had been lit in her heart. She felt warm. She didn't treat this child as her own. She just wanted him to stop running around and causing trouble with the little fox. However, this child returned her sincere feelings. Qingyang, it's so late. Why aren't you sleeping? Ning Shu asked the two children. Go to sleep. Seeing that his mother had returned, Hu Qingyang let out a sigh of relief. He said, there is always a commotion outside. I can't sleep. If he was waiting, then he was waiting. Why did he have to find an excuse? Ning Shu rubbed Hu Qingyang's forehead. Mother, is Imperial Consort Xian all right? Hu Qingyang asked. Does Qingyang not have a little brother or sister? Ning Shu nodded. Hu Qingyang was a bit disappointed. He asked Ning Shu, I feel that Imperial Father has changed. He has changed so much that I almost can't recognize him. Love can change people. Ning Shu drank a mouthful of water. It's late. Go to sleep. Love. Hu Qingyang looked at Ning Shu in confusion. Mother, what are you talking about? Love. Your Imperial Father is like a young boy who has fallen in love. Ning Shu said with a smile. He had done something unbelievable for the person he liked. Hu Qingyang continued to ask, Imperial Father's love with who? Go to sleep. Mother is tired. Ning Shu didn't want to talk about this with Hu Qingyang. Chapter 241. Little Fox was caught by the guards. When she was brought to Hu Qing, her fur was covered in grass and dust. When she saw Hu Qing, tears fell from her eyes. Hu Qing's heart ached. He quickly patted the dust off Little Fox and hugged her. He said in a trembling voice, You little thing, are you trying to scare me to death? Little Fox couldn't escape from Hu Qing's embrace. However, she was angry and didn't make a sound. Liar, they were all liars. She had to be crazy to believe an emperor. He had 72 concubines in his harem. What was she? Little Fox felt very uncomfortable. You little thing, how dare you get angry at me and run away after causing trouble? Imperial concubine Xian had a miscarriage because of you. Hu Qing said helplessly with a frown. He was clearly troubled by this matter. He regretted sleeping with Imperial concubine Xian and getting her pregnant. Hu Qing felt guilty as if he had betrayed Little Fox. Little Fox's body stiffened when she heard that she had a miscarriage. She had a miscarriage because she couldn't stand the smug look on the pregnant Imperial concubine's face. She had a miscarriage because she was too weak. Women in ancient times were very delicate and didn't step out of the house. Little Fox thought so, but she was still very afraid. She had caused the death of an unborn life. Little Fox was still very afraid. She quickly looked at Hu Qing, thinking that he was teasing her. Hu Qing sighed and stroked Little Fox's fur. He said, It's true. She really had a miscarriage. Her pregnancy was unstable and she miscarried after you bumped into her. However, her body was weak to begin with. Don't blame yourself too much. Little Fox began to cry again. How could this be? Hu Qing quickly wiped her tears and said, This is my fault. I shouldn't have slept with her and gotten her pregnant. I know you are angry. I will take care of this matter. You don't have to worry. Little Fox was convinced. Who was Hu Qing? He was the emperor, the most powerful person in the world. Imperial concubine Xian was just a woman. Little Fox felt guilty because of her mistake. She immediately stuck out her tongue and licked Hu Qing's finger. She looked at Hu Qing with sincere and cute eyes. You can't run around in the future. If you disappear like this again, we will tie you to my side and not allow you to take a step away from me. Hu Qing said sternly. Although Hu Qing's words were terrifying, the little fox's heart was filled with sweetness. She stuck out her tongue and licked Hu Qing's lips. Hu Qing's eyes deepened as he stared at the little fox's tongue. In the end, he looked away and said, But this matter must be explained to the imperial consort. Otherwise, the empress and the imperial consort will not let this matter rest. The little fox's eyes widened when she heard that. It wasn't that hypocritical empress who had miscarried. Why would she need an explanation? These women just couldn't stand her and wanted to kill her. They look incomparably beautiful on the outside, but they are all beautiful snakes. Hu Qing will be stung to death by these beautiful scorpions sooner or later. Who asked you to be lecherous? Who asked you to be a stud? Who asked you to have so many women in your harem? The little fox nodded. She wouldn't be angry. Looking at Huaqing's tired appearance, the little fox's heart softened. This man protected her, but he also had moments when he was weak. In front of her, he seemed to have all his defenses down and revealed his softest inner self. The little fox stuck out her pink tongue and licked Huaqing's cheeks to comfort him. Huaqing doted on her, so she should treat him well. "All right, you little thing." He hugged the little fox and didn't let her lick his face anymore. He endured it with great difficulty, but it seemed that the little fox didn't notice at all. It seemed like she especially liked this kind of intimate action. It was really painful and happy. The next morning, Huaqing issued an edict to promote Imperial Consort Xian's position. Imperial Consort Xian was promoted from Imperial Consort Xian to Imperial Consort Xian. This position was close to that of the Empress. She was the #1 position after the Empress. Not only was her position promoted, but she was also rewarded with many rare treasures and precious nourishing holy items. It was all done before the court. When Ning Shu heard this news, he thought that Huaqing had already compensated the imperial tutor's residents in order to shut their mouths. The imperial tutor's residents couldn't say anything. After Ning Shu had breakfast, he went to see Imperial Consort Xian. No, it was Imperial Consort Xian now. Walking into the palace, Ning Shu saw palace maids tidying up the things that Huaqing had sent over. In the bedroom, Imperial Consort Xian was sitting on the bed and drinking medicine. Imperial Consort Xian's expression was indifferent. She didn't feel anything about these rare treasures. She also didn't look happy about being promoted to Imperial Consort. When she saw Ning Shu come, she bowed respectfully to Ning Shu. "This concubine greets the Empress. At least your position was promoted," Ning Shu said. Imperial Consort Xian didn't say anything and drank the medicine in one breath. She looked at Ning Shu and asked, "Empress, can this concubine trust you?" "Of course you can." Ning Shu nodded. Imperial Consort Xian then shook her head. "You and the Emperor are the original husband and wife. Although this concubine has a high position, I am still just a concubine. Husband and wife. Imperial Consort, do you think that this concubine and the Emperor are a loving couple?" Ning Shu said indifferently. "This concubine is no different from you. In the Emperor's heart, there is no difference. In the Emperor's heart, you are just a wooden and inflexible concubine." She wasn't as lively and cute as the little fox. Huaqing didn't have any feelings for the original owner of the body. Huaqing and Xiao Xiao were together because of benefits. In the end, they still fell apart because of benefits. This concubine doesn't understand what the Empress means. Imperial Consort Xian, Ning Shu asked. Imperial Consort Xian probably didn't know that the current Huaqing liked a beast that had yet to transform into a human. After seeing Imperial Consort Xian, Ning Shu went back. Some things had to be done slowly. The little fox was so arrogant because Huaqing pampered it. Without Huaqing, the little fox was just a beast that couldn't even control its own fate. If the person it met at the hunting grounds wasn't Huaqing, but someone else, it would have been shot to death and turned into a woman's fur. Huaqing was the little fox's only reliance. It was a huge golden finger. Ning Shu walked to the door. After thinking for a while, she turned to look at Huaqing. She pushed the door open and walked in. She saw that the little fox that was supposed to be in the imperial study was actually with Huaqing. The little fox stood on a chair and looked at Huaqing. Huaqing pursed his lips tightly and stared at the little fox. When Ning Shu saw this scene, she was shocked. Could it be that Huaqing was still playing with the little fox? "Mother!" Seeing Ning Shu walk in, Huaqing quickly walked in front of Ning Shu. Ning Shu glanced at the little fox and asked Huaqing, "Qingeng, what are you doing?" "This son is practicing calligraphy," Huaqing said. When the little fox saw that the two of them were talking and ignoring her, she suddenly felt very awkward. If she had known, she wouldn't have come. Chapter 242. The little fox originally didn't want to come to the Empress place. She didn't like the hypocritical Empress at all. She looked dignified and virtuous, but she was a black-hearted woman. Otherwise, why would she be the only one in the harem with children? Before the little fox transmigrated, she had read many novels and felt that the Empress must have given the other women something to prevent them from getting pregnant. The little fox felt quite guilty. After all, She quite liked Hu Qingwang, the fair and tender little boy. She felt like she was teasing a miniature version of Hu Qing. He was very cute. Today, she had come to apologize to Hu Qingwang, but he didn't seem to care about her. Then, the Empress came again. The little fox felt uncomfortable. Hu Qingwang used to like her a lot, but now he was ignoring her. The little fox jumped off the table and ran away. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows and asked, "The little fox came to play with you?" "Auntie, this little fox is amazing. She can actually write." Xiao Qingyang handed the imperial edict to Ning Shu. Ning Shu took a look and saw the words, "I'm sorry," written in a crooked claw. It was extremely ugly. She is quite smart. If she wasn't, Imperial Father wouldn't have doted on her so much. Ning Shu threw the paper away and said without much care. Hu Qingwang raised his head and looked at Ning Shu. "Imperial Mother, why does Imperial Father like a fox and not this son? This son hates foxes. She killed this son's dog. This son is Imperial Father's son. Why does an Imperial Father like this son?" Ning Shu suddenly didn't know how to answer Hu Qingwang. Was he supposed to tell him that he wasn't the child of Imperial Father's beloved woman, so of course he didn't like him? That would probably make his little heart bleed. Ning Shu crouched down and put his hand on Hu Qingwang's shoulder. He looked into Hu Qingwang's dark eyes and said seriously, "Qing, Imperial Mother said that your Imperial Father is the Emperor. Don't crave the feelings of an emperor. Qingyang, go to the kitchen and bring some snacks over." Ning Shu sent Xiao Qingyang away. Xiao Qingyang immediately went to look for food. Ning Shu and Hu Qingwang sat in their chairs. Ning Shu asked Hu Qingwang, "Qingyang, what do you think is the most important thing for an emperor?" "I don't know." Hu Qingwang looked at Ning Shu with sparkling eyes. Ning Shu smiled and asked, "Qingyang, what do you think an emperor should be like? 3 palaces and 6 courtyards? Call the wind and summon the rain?" "Emperors should be worshipped by all," Hu Qingwang said. Ning Shu pinched Hu Qingwang's face and said, "That's right. The emperor should be worshipped by the people. The most important thing for an emperor is responsibility. The people support the entire royal family, and the emperor's responsibility is to make the people in the world live better." Hu Qingwang nodded as if he understood. Ning Shu knew Hu Qingwang didn't understand these things, so he asked Hu Qingwang, "Does Qingwang want to be king? An emperor worshipped by all the people?" "Yes, I want to be king. I want to replace my father as the emperor. I want to protect my mother and the things I care about." Hu Qingwang clenched his fists, and his face was red. As an emperor, you can't like or care about things too much. Your father likes something too much, so much so that he has lost his basic vigilance and calmness. Ning Shu looked at Hu Qingwang and asked, "What do you think your father is like now?" Hu Qingwang bit his lip and whispered, "He's a bit like an incapable emperor." Ning Shu nodded and changed the subject. "In the future, put a rat trap in the house. Little Fox often runs around, so she might have heard what we said." Ning Shu poked Hu Qingwang's head. "Think of a way yourself. Torture the little fox so that she can't complain to your Imperial Father. Let her suffer in silence. Qingyang, think of a way to avenge the little dog." "I will remember." Hu Qingwang nodded, and his eyes were heavy. At night, Hu Qing went to Imperial concubine Xian's palace. This time, little fox wasn't angry. She obediently waited in the royal study for Hu Qing to come back. Little fox knew that Imperial concubine Xian's body couldn't serve her, so she generously let Hu Qing go. Speaking of which, Imperial concubine Xian was now Imperial concubine Xian. Little Fox suspected that Imperial concubine Xian knew that she couldn't keep her child, so she blamed it on her. Little Fox only lightly bumped into Imperial concubine Xian, and she had a miscarriage. The women in the harem were really vicious. Hu Qing went to Imperial concubine Xian's palace and sat for a while before leaving. Before he left, he said a few words of concern to Imperial concubine Xian. Imperial concubine Xian's face was cold from beginning to end, but Hu Qing didn't care. He just thought that Imperial concubine Xian was too sad. In addition, because of Little Fox, Hu Qing thought that he had already compensated her and gave her a noble status. Imperial concubine Xian looked at Hu Qing's back and bit her lip tightly. Her hand clutched the blanket tightly, and her body was trembling. Imperial concubine, it's time to drink your medicine. A maid came in with the medicine. Imperial concubine Xian's face was cold. She took the bowl and drank the medicine in one breath. She angrily threw the empty bowl on the ground. With a bang, the broken pieces flew everywhere. Damn beast! Hua Qing came out of Imperial concubine Xian's palace and went to Ning Shu's palace. Ning Shu was surprised to see Hua Qing. What was he doing here instead of being intimate with little fox? This concubine pays respects to your majesty. Ning Shu bowed with a smile on his face, as if he was surprised that Hua Qing came. Hua Qing saw the smile on Ning Shu's face and felt a little sick in his heart. He regretted coming here. If Hu knew that he came here, she would be angry. As the empress, you need to take care of the harem. Imperial concubine just had a miscarriage, so take care of her. Hua Qing said a few words, then found an excuse to say that he had a memorial to review and left. Ning Shu almost vomited on Hua Qing's face. He had never seen such a disgusting man. He really treated this mother like a housewife. Then they would be lovey-dovey and live a carefree life. He pushed a woman who had a miscarriage to her. Could she kill the emperor? Hua Qing returned to the imperial study and saw little fox waiting for him. Hua Qing's heart warmed. He felt that in this cold palace, only Hu was special. She brought color to his lonely life. Hua Qing was willing to pamper little fox, and he brought everything to little fox. Hua Qing hugged little fox and let her face him. He muttered to himself, "How good would it be if you were a human?" Little fox stuck out her tongue and licked Hua Qing's cheek. She also wanted to be a human, but the transmigration god made her a fox. She didn't want a fox's body at all. Zhen will definitely think of a way, Hua Qing said firmly. Little fox didn't understand what Hua Qing meant for a moment, but she still licked Hua Qing's cheek. Huang Sang's skin was really good. Licking it felt like eating jelly. The texture was really good, especially the lips. If she was a human now, she would have eaten this guy until there was nothing left. Poor perverted woman like her could only watch. Chapter 243. Ning Shu stayed by Hua Qingwang's side as he read. Ning Shu didn't want Hua Qingwang to study the 4 books and 5 classics. Hua Qingwang wasn't like those pedantic Confucian scholars who passed the imperial examinations. It was better for him to read Sun Tzu's Art of War and learn how to govern. Ning Shu originally wanted to find a teacher for Hua Qingwang, but when she thought about how Hua Qing was on guard against her and the marshal's mansion, she gave up on that idea for now. Qing Zhu walked in and whispered into Ning Shu's ear, "Nyang Nyang, the marshal's mansion sent news." The marshal discovered that someone had placed something that shouldn't be there. The marshal has already destroyed it, but he didn't want to alert the enemy. The marshal said for Nyang Nyang to be careful and not let the cat out of the bag in front of His Majesty. Ning Shu nodded and told Hua Qingwang not to stay. She went out with Xiao Qingyang for a stroll. Hua Qingwang and Xiao Qingyang left with a sinister smile. Ning Shu looked at the 2 children's sinister expressions and couldn't help but raise her eyebrows. "Nyang Nyang, the marshal said that His Majesty is looking for a Taoist priest, an outsider," Qing Zhu said. "The marshal suspects that His Majesty is going to eat pills now." Ning Shu immediately shook her head. Hua Qing was still very young and didn't know how to eat pills to maintain his health. Hua Qing was full of energy and didn't need to eat pills to overdraft his body's energy. The ancient emperors loved to eat pills because they wanted to be able to sleep with their concubines when they were old. Why would he suddenly look for a Taoist priest? Ning Shu's eyes darted around and she thought of something. It was the little fox. According to the plot, the little fox should have transformed into a human by now. However, as soon as Ning Shu entered this world, she destroyed the mermaid pearl that allowed the little fox to transform into a human. Since the little fox didn't get this item, it naturally couldn't transform into a human. Hua Qing couldn't hold it in anymore and wanted to find an expert to transform the little fox into a human. It seemed that the plot was still rushing forward and wouldn't look back. The little fox was destined to transform into a human. There was no way for the male and female leads to have sex. What kind of love could there be without physical interaction? "Tell grandfather that he doesn't need to care about the Taoist priests," Ning Shu said calmly. Hua Qing could do whatever he wanted. However, Huaqing's act of hiring a Taoist priest still attracted some criticism. Many ministers in the imperial court told Huaqing not to indulge in these foreign techniques, but Huaqing ignored them. As long as he could turn Hu into a human, he could pay any price. Huaqing really wanted to see what Hu looked like when she turned into a human. She should be beautiful and lively, in sharp contrast to the women in the harem. Even her little temper was so cute. Little Fox didn't know about Huaqing's painstaking efforts and continued to wander around the palace every day. Huaqing also didn't tell her that he would give her a surprise when the time came. However, the little fox had been feeling very unlucky recently. She felt like someone was messing with her. While she was walking, a bucket of feces would fall on her, and even the bucket would fall on her. When she finally overturned the bucket, there was no one around her. Feeling wronged, the little fox went to find Huaqing with the smell of the 5 grains reincarnation item. Feeling wronged, the little fox directly jumped onto Huaqing and purposely rubbed against him. Huaqing endured the stench and didn't mind the little fox. The man and the fox went to take a bath together. Seeing Huaqing like this, the little fox's heart was filled with sweetness. She felt that Huaqing was the best person in the world to her. It was fine if it happened once, but it didn't stop. The little fox cried pitifully at Huaqing. Huaqing angrily said that he wanted to find out who dared to treat his Hu like this. Ning Shu knew about this and hurriedly told the 2 boys to stop. If they continued to cause trouble, they would be caught sooner or later. Huaqing Wang was refreshed. He even walked with the wind. Ning Shu was more concerned about when the little fox turned into a human. When the little fox turned into a human, all the women in the harem would be completely abandoned. From then on, Huaqing Wang only had the little fox in his heart. Ning Shu asked Qing Zhu to pass a message to the marshal's residents, telling them to be careful. Huaqing hadn't come to the harem for a long time. The women in the harem stared in the direction of the imperial study until they were blind, but Huaqing still didn't show up. During this time, something big happened. Beauty Lin, who was disfigured by the little fox and was banished to the Yi court by Huaqing, caught the little fox after a plan and stabbed the little fox in the stomach. When Huaqing found the little fox, Beauty Lin was stabbing the little fox like a madwoman. The little fox was screaming in pain and its body was covered in blood. Huaqing's eyes were bloodshot. He pulled out a guard's knife and chopped off Beauty Lin's head. Beauty Lin's head rolled far away. Her scarred face was hideous. Huaqing hugged the bloody little fox and asked the imperial doctor and Taoist priest to save it. Ooh! The little fox cried at Huaqing. The little fox felt like it was going to die. It was in so much pain. Huaqing's tears fell. He said in panic, "You will be fine. You will be fine. I won't allow anything to happen to you." Ning Shu looked at Huaqing's decadent and crazy appearance. His body was trembling. It was as if he had lost the entire world. He collapsed and panicked. He smiled coldly. Ning Shu stood beside the pale-faced imperial noble consort Xian. Although she had undergone meticulous treatment, her body was still very thin. She gave people the feeling that a gust of wind could blow her away. Her chin was much sharper. Imperial noble consort Xian was shocked to see Huaqing revealing his emotions. It was as if he wanted to destroy the world. "Let's go back. The emperor won't let us stay here." Ning Shu stood at the entrance of the imperial study. He looked at the tightly shut door and turned to leave. Imperial noble consort Xian bit her lips and followed Ning Shu. Ning Shu looked at the pale-faced imperial noble consort Xian and said, "You did this? This concubine doesn't know what concubine is talking about." Imperial noble consort Xian's pale face revealed a smile. "This concubine has nothing to do with this. This was done by Beauty Lin." Imperial noble consort Xian said indifferently. Ning Shu didn't say anything. Everyone knew who did this. At least Ning Shu was gloating. There was only one word to describe it. Serves them right. The little fox was heavily injured. The imperial physician told Huaqing that there was no hope. Huaqing immediately covered his chest and spat out a mouthful of blood. This scared the imperial physician. Huaqing, who was angry and anxious, ordered the guards to kill the imperial physician who said that the little fox was incurable. No matter how much the imperial physician begged, he couldn't change his fate. With the previous example, the other imperial physicians only focused on stopping the little fox's bleeding. They didn't dare to speak. At this moment, a Taoist priest came out and told Huaqing that this was the best time to transform the little fox into a human. If this dragged on, the little fox wouldn't be able to survive. Huaqing immediately acted as a Taoist priest. No matter what, he had to save the little fox's life. Huaqing pulled his hair in pain. Looking at the little fox who was about to die on the bed, he hated that he couldn't take the little fox's place. Such heart-wrenching pain. He didn't know why he was so deeply in love. Now, Huaqing realized that he had really fallen in love with the little fox. Furthermore, it had to be her. No one else could take her place. Thinking that the little fox might leave him, Huaqing wished that he could bury the entire palace with the little fox. Beauty Lin, that bitch, let her die too comfortably. She should be tortured to death. Chapter 244. Because of Huaqing, the entire palace was in a gloomy atmosphere. Everyone knew that the emperor's most beloved pet was almost killed by the concubines in the cold palace. Now, the emperor wanted to kill whoever he caught. Everyone was in a state of panic. Ning Shu didn't care. If the female lead died so easily, how could she be called a favored one with great luck? Imperial noble consort Xian was worried about her gains and losses. She found Ning Shu and asked, "Empress, do you think that beast will die?" Ning Shu said indifferently. Imperial noble consort Xian frowned and said unwillingly, "It's injured so badly. How can it not die?" Ning Shu took a sip and said leisurely, "The emperor will do everything to save her." Can the emperor fight with the king of hell for a person? Imperial noble consort Xian said somewhat indignantly, "Imperial noble consort, hearing you say this, why does this concubine feel so awkward? His Majesty treats that beast so well that it's unimaginable." Let's see. Ning Shu said, "I heard that the imperial tutor's body hasn't been well recently. I have 100-year-old ginseng here for the imperial tutor to recuperate." Imperial noble consort Xian hesitated and said, "Grandfather is old. Although he isn't feeling well, he doesn't need ginseng." "Thank you, Empress." Ning Shu didn't care about Imperial noble consort Xian's rejection. Imperial noble consort Xian and the imperial tutor would agree to her suggestion sooner or later. Huaqing had locked himself in his palace. He hadn't attended court for almost a month. This was something that had never happened before. The ministers were so anxious that their hair fell off. Every time he attended court, eunuch Qiu, who was by Huaqing's side, would tell him that the emperor wasn't feeling well and wouldn't be attending court. The ministers and concubines couldn't see Huaqing, so no one knew what was happening in his palace. Huaqing like this made everyone nervous. They didn't know what he was going to do. Ning Shu guessed that it was because of the little fox's transformation into a human. Huaqing was really going to become an emperor who didn't want the country and wanted the beauty. Huaqing found Ning Shu and asked, "What exactly is father doing? Why is he abandoning the matters of the court?" Ning Shu looked at Huaqing, who now looked like a little adult, and could not help but say, "Chengwang really cares about the country and the people." "Mother, I'm serious," Huaqing said seriously. Ning Shu nodded. "Imperial mother is also serious. You don't need to care about what your imperial father does." In the end, Huaqing sighed and left. Ning Shu laughed when he saw the look on his face. "Nyang Nyang, Shaoan Zi, who serves His Majesty, is here." Qing Zhu walked in and informed Ning Shu. Ning Shu immediately said, "Let him in." Shaoan Zi walked in and bowed to Ning Shu. Then he said, "Nyang Nyang, Master said that this servant will come to inform Nyang 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 tonight. Nyang Nyang will be rewarded. And thank your master for me." Ning Shu had Qing Zhu take out 2 silver ingots. Shaoan Zi accepted it and then bowed and left. Qing Zhu and Ning Shu asked, "Nyang Nyang, what is Shaoan Zi talking about?" "You will know tonight." Ning Shu already had a guess. Ning Shu thought for a moment and said to Qing Zhu, "Go and invite Imperial noble consort Xian over." Imperial noble consort Xian quickly came over. When she saw Ning Shu, she bowed and asked, "Nyang Nyang, why are you looking for me?" "Tonight, we will go and see His Majesty and see if he is hiding a mistress." Ning Shu said indifferently. Imperial noble consort Xian sat down and drank a mouthful of tea. Ning Shu looked at Imperial noble consort Xian's frail body and said, "Your body doesn't seem to be well. I am not an imperial physician, but I can see that your body is severely damaged. I don't care about my body anymore. I am just struggling at death's door. It doesn't matter if I am well or not." Imperial noble consort Xian said indifferently. Ning Shu didn't agree. "You shouldn't ruin yourself for a man." Imperial noble consort Xian looked at Ning Shu in shock and said, "I am sad for my unborn child." Ning Shu and Imperial noble consort Xian waited like this. When it was almost midnight, the entire palace was silent. Xiao and Zi finally came. Ning Shu said, "Nyang Nyang, please follow me." Ning Shu smiled and said to Imperial noble consort Xian, "Let's go and take a look." Xiao and Zi brought Ning Shu and Imperial noble consort Xian to Huqing's bedroom. Imperial noble consort Xian asked Ning Shu softly, "Nyang Nyang, what are you doing?" "It's not what I am doing. It's what the emperor is doing," Ning Shu said indifferently. Soon, the group arrived at Huqing's bedroom. Eunuch Qiu was waiting for Ning Shu at the door. When he saw Ning Shu, he bowed and said quietly, "Nyang Nyang, please follow me." "Be quiet." Ning Shu nodded and followed behind Eunuch Qiu. Imperial noble consort Xian hurriedly followed Ning Shu. Eunuch Qiu found a secret place. This place could hear the situation in the bedroom and avoid being discovered by the guards. Ning Shu listened to the situation inside and heard Huqing's voice and a woman's voice. Ning Shu understood. The little fox had transformed into a human body. The voices inside continued. Huqing said, "Having you is like having the world." A crisp female voice sounded, "Huqing, have I really become an adult? I can't believe it." "It's true. My Huqing's voice was filled with boundless affection. "Huqing, what are you doing? Why are you kissing me? Don't you know how I feel about you?" Huqing's voice was filled with suppressed desire. Not long after, she heard ambiguous voices coming from inside. It was mixed with Huqing's words of love and the little fox's suppressed moans. As expected, Ning Shu had come to confirm the situation. It was similar to what she had expected. Even without her shark pearl, there were other ways for the little fox to transform into a human. After knowing the result, Ning Shu was no longer interested in eavesdropping. He quietly left. Imperial noble consort Xian immediately followed Ning Shu. Her face was filled with shock and she hadn't recovered yet. After they had walked far away, Ning Shu asked, "Nyang Nyang, what is going on? His Majesty is really hiding a woman. Where did this woman come from? Hasn't this woman always been here?" Ning Shu said indifferently, "You can ask Shaoan about this. Then you can consider the plan I told you." Imperial noble consort Xian was shocked. She seemed to have thought of something but didn't dare to confirm it. She shook her head and said, "This is impossible. Impossible. Anything can happen." Ning Shu said to Imperial noble consort Xian, "It's getting late. Let's go to bed." Imperial noble consort Xian couldn't sleep. Her mind was filled with the woman rolling around with Huqing. Nyang Nyang, she was injured so badly. How could she have survived and become a human? Imperial noble consort Xian's eyes were filled with intense hatred. Ning Shu said, "It should be the work of those Taoists." Chapter 245. Although the little fox had transformed into a human, Huqing did not let the little fox out and kept her in the bedroom. Ning Shu could not understand. Could it be that Huqing had imprisoned the little fox for her entire life? According to the little fox's temperament, if he made her stay in the room and not let her out, wouldn't that be asking for her old life? But not long after, a palace maid found the corpse of an animal in the imperial garden. The animal had been skinned, revealing its bright red flesh. Flies were flying around the corpse. Ning Shu looked at the corpse. Its body was similar to the little fox's, so it should be a fox. Huqing rushed over. When he saw the corpse, it was as if he was struck by lightning. He immediately roared, "Who is it? Who killed my little fox?" Huqing's expression was very sorrowful. He frowned and coldly asked Ning Shu, There is such a vicious person in the palace who actually killed my little fox. Empress, you must find the murderer. I want to skin him. Fuck, didn't your little fox already turn into a human? If this fox was really a little fox, you wouldn't have such an exaggerated performance now. Hua Qing wanted the identity of the little fox to disappear. Empress, I want you to find the murderer. Hua Qing said through gritted teeth. Ning Shu said. Ning Shu bowed and respectfully said, this concubine understands. This concubine will find the murderer. Ning Shu emphasized the word murderer. Hua Qing even had people make an exquisite little coffin. Then, he put the fox's corpse in the coffin with a sorrowful expression. Ning Shu almost rolled his eyes. So fake. He clearly had a coquettish expression, but he still had to twist his face and make a sorrowful expression. Who are you trying to disgust? After the fox was buried, Hua Qing began to go to court. The ministers were dissatisfied that he did not go to court a while ago. Hua Qing sat on the dragon throne with a sickly expression. He told the ministers that he was sick a while ago, so he did not go to court. Hua Qing's bedroom was still heavily surrounded by guards. No one was allowed to enter, causing the atmosphere of the entire palace to be very solemn. The little fox was dead. The concubines in the imperial harem were so excited that they almost set off firecrackers to celebrate. This troublesome fox was finally dead. They had to thank the person who dared to commit such a heinous crime by daring to kill the little fox. Amitabha. Compared to the excited concubines in the inner palace, imperial noble consort Xian's pale face was ashen. She angrily asked Ning Shu, Empress, what is the emperor trying to do? You've already thought of it, so why are you asking me? Ning Shu wasn't angry at all. He said to imperial noble consort Xian, do you agree with the plan that I told you previously? Do you want to cooperate with me? His Majesty already doesn't want all the women in this harem. The harem is like a figurehead. Why should we still care about this little bit of affection between husband and wife? Ning Shu faintly said. This was the correct way to torture a scumbag man. Destroy a man with a woman, not a woman against a woman. Imperial noble consort Xian bit her lips tightly. She was struggling. Ning Shu continued, don't be anxious. You can think about it slowly. However, I think that after a while, that fox spirit will openly appear in the harem. She will be the favorite of the harem. Maybe the emperor will even disperse the harem for her. When that time comes, we, the women who serve the emperor, won't even have a status after we die. We won't be able to enjoy the incense offerings of our descendants. Empress, I agree. I will send a letter to the imperial preceptor's residence. Imperial noble consort Xian took a deep breath. Her eyes were firm as she spoke to Ning Shu word by word. Ning Shu smiled. At night, Hua Qing came over. He went straight to the point. Empress, it's going to be the autumn harvest soon. I will be leaving the palace to harvest the grain with the commoners. I'll just take a look at this year's harvest. Harvest the grain together? To put it bluntly, he was going to put on a show and have fun in front of the commoners. Ning Shu said, Emperor, do you want me to go? In this kind of situation, the emperor and the mother of the nation should be together, wearing coarse hemp clothes to harvest the grain. Ning Shu knew that Hua Qing wouldn't bring her along. Hua Qing saw the anticipation and excitement on the empress' face and immediately said, Empress, you don't need to go. You'll be back soon this time. The palace can't be empty. Also, have you found the culprit I asked you to find? I'm investigating, but I don't know who did it. I don't have a single clue. Ning Shu looked at Hua Qing with a distressed expression. An unnatural expression flashed across Hua Qing's face as he said, no matter what, you must find out. Ning Shu had a dumbfounded expression. Hua Qing left after saying a few words. He didn't talk to Ning Shu for more than the time it took to brew a cup of tea. Ning Shu looked at Hua Qing's hurried back. Tis. Her place wasn't some scary place. Why was she so afraid of the little fox getting angry? Nyang, His Majesty hasn't rested in Nyang's palace for a long time. Qing Zhu said to Ning Shu somewhat anxiously. Ning Shu drank a mouthful of tea. His Majesty won't come to the inner palace in the future. Don't worry about it. Sleep. The next morning, Ning Shu took the concubines of the inner palace to the palace gates to see Huaqing off. They sent Huaqing to harvest the rice. Ning Shu found that there was an additional little eunuch with red lips, white teeth, and creamy skin beside Huaqing. Even though she was wearing the clothes of a little eunuch, it still couldn't hide her beauty. Her eyes were also lively and beautiful. Although they were large almond eyes, the ends of her eyes were slightly raised. There was a kind of charm and incomparable beauty. Huaqing saw that Ning Shu's gaze was on the little eunuch and unobtrusively blocked in front of the little eunuch. Ning Shu said, "Empress, take care of the inner palace. Zhen will be back soon." Ning Shu bowed and said with false concern, "Qinxia will remember. Qinxia and my sisters will wait for His Majesty to come back. Be careful, His Majesty." As soon as Ning Shu finished speaking, she heard a slight cold snort. Ning Shu pretended not to hear it. Huaqing got on the carriage. Eunuch Qiu shouted to set off. The long line headed towards the palace gates. The little eunuch didn't get on the carriage. Instead, he followed the carriage. His eyes kept rolling around, appearing very curious. Ning Shu watched the long line leave the palace gates. Only then did he turn and head back to his own palace. After Huaqing left, the concubines were even more bored. They dressed up beautifully, but the emperor didn't even look at them. Ning Shu let his concubines go back to their own palaces. If they had nothing to do, they could embroider by themselves. Otherwise, they could find entertainment by themselves. Perhaps it was because Huaqing hadn't entered the inner palace for a long time. Everyone didn't have any favor. For a time, the relationships between the women eased up. They gathered together to chat when they had nothing to do. If they didn't find something to do, they would go crazy from boredom. Imperial noble consort Xian's gaze was fixed on the palace gates. Ning Shu asked, "That little eunuch is the little fox, right? It's so strange. How did a fox turn into a human?" "Extremely beautiful. She is indeed a fox spirit," Imperial noble consort Xian said coldly. Chapter 246. Ning Shu felt that Huaqing did not go to the autumn harvest. Instead, he went to spend time with the little fox. He left behind all the women in the palace and ran off to play with the adulterous couple. She still had to stay in the palace to help Huaqing manage all the women in the palace. Damn it. Ning Shu wanted to kill the emperor again. Ning Shu did not care about Huaqing's matters. Instead, he accompanied Huaqing Wang to study. Some things were not easy to do when Huaqing was around. After Huaqing left, Ning Shu immediately hired a teacher for Huaqing Wang. This teacher was found by Marshal Xiao. Ning Shu and Imperial noble consort Xian secretly sped up their plans. Half a month passed. Huaqing, who was so happy that he forgot about home, finally returned. But when he returned, he brought a peerless beauty with him. When Huaqing returned, he brought the little fox in front of Ning Shu. He directly said to Ning Shu, "Empress, this is Jin Ling." The little fox Jin Ling did not bow to Ning Shu. Huaqing did not say anything. Ning Shu calmly said, "Your Majesty, where did such a beautiful woman come from? Your Majesty went to the autumn harvest and brought back such a peerless beauty. This is the daughter of the county magistrate of Chu County, not far from the capital. I like her very much and brought her into the palace." Huaqing looked at the little fox with a loving gaze. Ning Shu smiled and looked at the little fox. She was wearing a pink satin palace dress. She did not wear any makeup. Her white skin had a slightly pink luster. There was a youthful and charming look between her brows. However, her figure was curvaceous. Her eyes were very lively and cute. When one looked at her, one would feel that they were captivated by this pair of eyes that were full of intelligence and cunning. She was charming with an innocent cunning. She could not be any more charming. Ning Shu finally understood Huaqing's intentions. First, he killed a fox and skinned it. After all, not every fox had a beautiful golden fur like the little fox. Then, after leaving the palace, he gave the little fox a proper identity. Huaqing really put in a lot of effort for the little fox. Ning Shu said meaningfully, "That parental official in Chu County is really emitting smoke from his ancestral grave. To be able to give birth to such a peerless beauty in the world, Your Majesty, please arrange a place for Qinxia to live." I don't need you to arrange a place for me to stay. I want to stay with Huaqing, said the little fox, Jinling. The little fox looked at Ning Shu with vigilance and hostility. She had been a fox before, so she didn't feel much for these women. Now that she had become a human and had given her body and mind to Huaqing, the little fox was filled with hostility towards these harem women. The man she liked could only like her back. Love was selfish. The little fox glared at Huaqing in annoyance. Really, if she had known this would happen, she wouldn't have returned to the palace. Now that she was a human, she might as well go sightseeing on the mainland and flirt with the little fresh meats instead of guarding Huaqing, who had so many women. Seeing that his beloved was unhappy, Huaqing hurriedly comforted her with a doting gaze. Ning Shu watched as the two of them looked at each other lovingly in front of her. He didn't care if others could take it or not. Miss, have I seen you before? You give me a very familiar feeling. I keep feeling like I've seen you somewhere before. Ning Shu narrowed her eyes slightly, as if trying to recall where she had seen her before. Huaqing stood in front of the little fox. Jinling, Ning Shu said. Jinling has lived in Chu County since she was young. How could you possibly have seen her, Your Majesty? There's no need to arrange a place for her to stay. I'll do it myself. Huaqing then led the little fox away. The little fox turned around and playfully stuck out her tongue at Ning Shu. Her contempt for Ning Shu was obvious. After they left the palace, Huaqing tapped the little fox's nose in annoyance. He said dotingly, "You're such an eccentric girl. She's the empress now. Don't go against her. It won't do you any good." Mph. The little fox raised her head and bit Huaqing's chin. She then said proudly, "I just don't like her. Huaqing, you can only have me in your heart. You're not allowed to have anyone else. Otherwise, I'll leave the palace and find other handsome men." Huaqing patted the little fox's butt lightly. "You're mine. I won't allow you to find other men. I'll kill whoever you find. Let's see who dares to touch you in the future. No one dares to touch my beloved. Yes, I'm not yours." The little fox heard Huaqing's words and retorted. Her heart was filled with sweetness. Huaqing was so good and so handsome. She couldn't bear to leave him. Huaqing lowered his head and went to the little fox's ear. He bit the little fox's ear and blew hot air into it. "If you're not mine, then who are you?" The little fox's body went limp and her face turned red. She looked at Huaqing with watery eyes. Huaqing was aroused by the little fox's gaze. He immediately carried the little fox and went to the bedroom. After a round of passion, the little fox drew circles on Huaqing's chest with her white and tender fingers. She said to Huaqing, "Huaqing, I hate those women in your harem. And the empress. I hate her. I especially hate the way she looks at me." Huaqing grabbed the little fox's hand and kissed it. "She won't be the empress soon. You're the only one in my heart. You're the only one who's fit to be my empress." After Huaqing and the little fox left, Imperial noble consort Xian rushed over to Ning Shu and asked, "Is that woman back?" This concubine heard that His Majesty brought back a woman. "Have some tea. She's back," Ning Shu said calmly. "She's the daughter of a 9th-rank sesame official." Huaqing didn't arrange a prominent family background for the little fox. If her background was too prominent, it would be easy for people to investigate. Besides, aristocratic families had records of their descendants. Imperial noble consort Xian bit her lips. Ning Shu asked, "Imperial noble consort, when will our plan be carried out?" "There's no rush. This concubine knows you want revenge, but things have to be done slowly." Ning Shu waved his hand. "Now isn't a good time." Imperial noble consort Xian sighed. Ning Shu said mournfully, "This concubine wants revenge for her child." "Revenge? This concubine's heart is filled with revenge." "There's no rush," Ning Shu said calmly. "Anything that crossed the line would cause a backlash." When the concubines in the harem found out that the emperor brought a woman back, they all rushed to Ning Shu's palace. They wanted to know what kind of woman made the emperor break the rules and bring her back to the palace. The women in the palace had to go through 3 trials and 5 generals. They had to be selected layer by layer before they could become the emperor's concubine. However, that woman was brought back directly. All the concubines felt very uneasy. First, It was a fox that stole all of the emperor's attention. Now, there was a woman who was said to be extremely beautiful. There was really no end to it. Ning Shu only said that the woman the emperor liked was indeed very beautiful. Then, the harem spread that the woman the emperor brought back was as beautiful as a fairy. Chapter 247. The little fox was temporarily staying in Huaqing's palace, making all the concubines jealous. Now, Huaqing didn't enter the harem at all. Every day, he pampered women who came out of nowhere. Huaqing hadn't entered the harem for almost half a year. In the past, Huaqing rarely entered the harem, but at least he would let the concubines serve him. Now, he didn't even enter the harem, which made the concubines' hearts itch. If they had explosives in their hands, Ning Shu suspected that these women would blow up Huaqing's palace. It would be best if they killed all the women in the palace. Huaqing doted on the little fox a lot. Other than when he went to court, Huaqing spent all his time with the little fox. Ning Shu couldn't understand why Huaqing didn't give the little fox a position. Could it be that he wanted to overthrow the marshal's residence and make the little fox empress? In the plot, the little fox eventually became the empress and her son became the emperor. Then, the playful little fox took Huaqing to travel the world. She was so lucky. Your Highness, the people from the Ministry of Works are working on the palace not far from the emperor. I think they're going to build a house, Qin Zhu told Ning Shu. Building a house? How many houses were there in the palace? Moreover, the buildings in the palace were all planned. Suddenly building a house would break the overall layout of the palace. I asked little Anzi. He said that they're building a house for Miss Jean Ling and that Miss Jean Ling personally designed it, Qin Zhu said. The people from the Ministry of Works didn't want to take over at first. They advised the emperor that every part of the palace was planned and that it was related to the fate of the country and the gathering of the dragon bloodline. Miss Jean Ling said that the people from the Ministry of Works were superstitious. Then, the emperor personally ordered that everything be built according to Miss Jean Ling's design. Ning Shu was speechless. Rich and willful. Because Huaqing didn't give the little fox a position, the servants in the palace all called the little fox Mississippi. But secretly, they despised this woman. She was with the emperor without any status. Wasn't she having illicit relations without a matchmaker? The little fox from the modern world didn't care about this at all. In her opinion, she and Huaqing were truly in love. Now, they were boyfriend and girlfriend. It had nothing to do with others. Even if the little fox heard these words, she didn't care. As long as she was happy, anything was fine. The little fox wanted to give Huaqing a surprise, so she kept urging the people from the Ministry of Works to hurry up and fix the house. Apart from that, the little fox brought many changes to the harem. For example, she gave Huaqing some exotic food and often performed modern dances for him. She also performed some seductive dances and pole dances. This made Huaqing even more fascinated with the little fox. He couldn't figure out what was going on in her mind. Huaqing felt very blessed to have met Hu. He felt that his life had been in vain. Huaqing even thanked the heavens for letting him meet Hu. At this time, Huaqing had completely forgotten that there was a group of concubines waiting for him in the harem. The Ministry of Works built the house very quickly. Soon, a modern-style villa was built next to Huaqing's bedroom. Ning Shu looked at the villa and wanted to cover his face. It was really strange that such a white villa had suddenly appeared in the majestic and dignified palace. It completely destroyed the dignity and wealth that the palace should have. In short, it was as awkward as it could be. Huaqing loved the house and its crow. He liked the style of house very much. When he heard Hu or say that this was their love nest, Huaqing's heart was burning. He liked this house even more. In order to shock these ignorant ancient people, the little fox generously invited the concubines from the harem to her villa to attend the party. Huaqing was afraid that no one would attend the little fox's party and embarrass the little fox. Therefore, he ordered all the concubines to attend the party. Even Ning Shu, the empress, was no exception. The concubines who came to attend the party all looked at the villa with wide eyes and strange expressions. The little fox was proud. You ancient people have never seen a modern villa. Every time Ning Shu looked at this villa, her heart would itch. She wanted to find someone to tear down this house. It was really awkward to look at. Ning Shu felt that she had obsessive-compulsive disorder. It was a party, but it was just barbecue. The little fox even explained to the concubines that it was barbecue. Looking at the concubines' confused expressions, the little fox could only shrug. This was the generation gap. There was no way to communicate. These concubines didn't touch the barbecue. The smoky food looked dirty. These concubines ate very carefully in the palace. They didn't eat this kind of food. Seeing the little fox's bold manner of eating, the concubines widened their eyes. Did the emperor like such a boorish woman? Ning Shu narrowed his eyes at the little fox. He saw the red mark on her neck. He could see how intimate she was with Huaqing. These concubines came here to see Huaqing. However, when the party ended, they didn't see Huaqing. They could only leave in disappointment. The little fox looked at the expressions of these concubines with disdain. These people were really hypocrites. They said that they were here to attend her party, but they were still thinking about her Huaqing. She had already informed Huaqing not to come. Seeing these people's disappointed expressions, the little fox was secretly pleased. Ning Shu looked at the little fox indifferently. He didn't know what class the little fox was before she transmigrated. Why did he feel that she was so lowly? She wanted to beat the ancients with her insignificant modern knowledge. Ning Shu only had 3 words. But this little fox didn't have any rules. She never greeted anyone. She was simply challenging the ancient feudal system. All right, with the emperor as her backing, she could be so willful. Huaqing would be scolded to death by the imperial censors sooner or later. The little fox was a maverick in the palace. She treated her maids very well. She even said that everyone was equal and no one was nobler than another. Ning Shu felt that if he was this maid, he would definitely give her a big slap. Your sister, if everyone was equal, why was he serving her and not the other way around? Her words were pleasant to hear. Tis. Ning Shu didn't know how to evaluate the little fox. Huaqing liked her character and personality so much. Was Huaqing's eyes covered with lard? Or was he used to seeing elegant ladies and was interested in the little fox's overly lively personality? The little fox also invented mahjong, poker, and the like. It created a gambling craze in the palace. Even the concubines in the harem were addicted to these gambling games. With the new games, the concubines didn't miss the emperor every day. This was one of the good things the little fox did. In short, the palace was a mess. Coupled with Huaqing's unprincipled favoritism, the little fox caused chaos wherever she went. The unlucky ones were always others. Huaqing, your concubine cheated in mahjong with me. It's fine. Punish that concubine by grounding her for a month. Huaqing, I'm sorry. I tore your dragon robe. It's all because you suddenly hugged me last night. I got too excited. It's fine. Chapter 248. At night, lightning flashed and deafening thunder boomed in the sky. It was raining cats and dogs. Suddenly, there was a loud clap of thunder that made the entire palace tremble. Panicked cries could be heard in the storm. Fire, fire! The villa next to Huaqing's bedroom was on fire. The fire was so strong that even the heavy rain could not extinguish it. The fire lit up the entire palace. The palace became restless. Ning Shu got up from the bed and said to Huaqing, "Qingwen, it's about to start. Are you afraid?" "I'm not afraid." Huaqing clenched his fists tightly. His body was trembling and his face was red. Ning Shu said, "I'm not afraid. If we fail, we will die." Qing Zhu helped Ning Shu put on his clothes. Huaqing got up from the bed and grabbed the corner of Ning Shu's clothes tightly. "Mother, I'm not afraid." Ning Shu nodded. Holding Huaqing's hand, he walked towards the burning villa. Qing Zhu and the palace maids held umbrellas for Ning Shu and Huaqing. It was raining heavily and a lot of rainwater had accumulated on the ground. It almost drowned their shoes. When they arrived at the villa, many palace maids and guards were putting out the fire. Huaqing and Little Fox stood under the roof of the bedroom in their pajamas. Little Fox's eyes were red. She felt her heart ache when she saw her efforts being burned. There were so many places in the palace, but only her villa was burned. Her villa! Little Fox's heart ached. She had her own mansion in ancient times, but it was struck by lightning. She felt that the heavens were playing with her. Seeing little fox like this, Huaqing quickly put out the fire. Even with so many eunuchs and guards putting out the fire did not die down. It exploded with crackling sounds. Huaqing's face was cold and his brows were tightly knitted. Under the flickering light of the fire, he was incomparably cold. Ning Shu held Huaqing's hand and walked in front of Huaqing. She bowed to Huaqing. "Greetings, Your Majesty." Huaqing glanced at Ning Shu and his gaze stopped on Huaqing. He said impatiently, "Why did you bring the child here so late?" Since something like this happened, Chen Qian naturally had to come. Cheng Wang was worried about His Majesty and thought that His Majesty was living in the villa. He was afraid that something would happen to His Majesty, so he begged Chen Qia to come along. Ning Shu said faintly. Huaqing's heart skipped a beat. Fortunately, he didn't stay in the villa tonight. Otherwise, he would be in trouble. Hu was a woman who knew how to have fun. Sometimes, she would have sex in the villa and basically didn't stay in the villa at night. Hu said that the newly repaired house wasn't suitable for people to live in. Moreover, Hu said that she preferred to sleep in the dragon bed. Otherwise, he and Hu would be trapped in the villa tonight. Huaqing heaved a sigh of relief and couldn't help but reach out to hug the little fox with one hand. He comforted her, "Don't be afraid, I'm here." Ning Shu was speechless. At the very least, his wife and son were beside him. Could he restrain himself a little? Huaqing grabbed Ning Shu's hand and watched as Huaqing hugged the little fox. His eyes were dark and looked very treacherous under the light of the fire. The fire burned fiercely. Even though there were so many people, they still couldn't save the villa. In the end, the villa that only had wood left collapsed with a creak. It looked especially miserable. Ning Shu was about to die from laughter in his heart. This dazzling villa was finally gone. "Your Majesty, something bad has happened." An official hurriedly ran over and knelt in front of Huaqing. He didn't care at all even though the rain was pouring down on him. Huaqing frowned. "Imperial astronomer, why did you enter the palace?" "This humble subject is here to tell Your Majesty that this fire is a warning to the heavens." The imperial astronomer knelt on the ground in a daze. Just as the imperial astronomer finished speaking, the sound of chaotic footsteps came over. Huaqing saw that it was actually the civil and military officials. Then, one by one, they knelt in front of him. Huaqing coldly said, "My beloved officials, what are you doing? Zhen didn't summon you to enter the palace. How did you enter the palace? What are the imperial guards doing?" "Your Majesty, please forgive this subject for coming unannounced." The Grand Preceptor said to Huaqing, "This matter is truly too urgent. It concerns the future of the country. This subject can only brave the world and enter the palace." This Grand Preceptor was Imperial Noble Consort Xian's grandfather. Ning Shu looked at the white-bearded marshal in full military attire. He was the original owner's grandfather. Victory or defeat would be decided today. Seeing the mass of people kneeling below, Huaqing had a bad feeling in his heart. He coldly said, "If there is anything to say it tomorrow. Zhen won't argue with my beloved officials for their improper actions today." "Your Majesty, this matter is too important. Let's listen to what these trusted officials have to say." This concubine thinks that there is something urgent. Ning Shu bowed and said to Huaqing. Huaqing frowned. Ning Shu scolded. "The concubines of the imperial harem are not allowed to interfere with government affairs. Empress, you are overstepping your bounds." "Huaqing, I'm a bit scared. Let's go inside." When the little fox saw this scene, her legs went weak. She pulled on Huaqing's sleeve and said pitifully, "How dare you call His Majesty by his name? How unruly." An imperial censor straightened his back and scolded the little fox righteously. Huaqing's expression immediately turned ugly. He couldn't bear to scold Hu-Er, but he was scolded by an official so rudely. When he saw Hu-Er's frightened appearance, Huaqing coldly said, "Imperial Censor Wu, yelling in front of Zhen like this. Do you have any manners?" "Your Majesty, please forgive me." This subject was too impatient. Although the imperial censor said sorry, his back was still straight. He clearly didn't think he was wrong. His face looked like he was ready to die at any time. It was as if he wasn't afraid of death at all. Ning Shu saw that Hua Qing's body was shaking with anger. He stood in front of the little fox as if to shield her from the storm. Ning Shu's eyes flashed. Hua Qing really did love the little fox, but the little fox relied on Hua Qing's love to do things without fear. She had never thought of lessening Hua Qing's burden. He really didn't know how long Hua Qing could block for the little fox. Wouldn't he be tired? Hua Qing took a deep breath and said coldly, "What do you want to say? It looks like you want to force the emperor to abdicate. This subject doesn't dare. Your Majesty, please forgive us." The minister knelt in the rain. His official robes were soaked. Ning Shu was afraid that his grandfather's body wouldn't be able to take it. "We don't dare, we don't dare. You are forcing the emperor to abdicate. What do you want?" Hua Qing's hands were clenched tightly behind his back. His body was trembling slightly. Hua Qing's eyes were deep and his expression was calm. However, there was uneasiness and an unknown fear in his eyes. "Your Majesty, this subject observes the stars at night. The morning star is dim, but the demon star beside it is bright. This means that there is an evildoer around His Majesty. This fire is heaven's warning to His Majesty." The imperial astronomer said agitatedly, "The fire falling from the sky is heaven's warning to Yen Kingdom." A bunch of nonsense. It's a bunch of nonsense. Hua Qing's body was trembling. An evildoer was causing trouble. These people were simply audacious. Chapter 249. The little fox didn't understand what the imperial astronomer was saying, but when she heard the word evildoer, her eyes widened in horror. Was he talking about her? Although she was a fox, she was still human. She wasn't an evildoer. The little fox clutched tightly to Hua Qing's clothes, her heart filled with unease and fear. Astronomical phenomena are nonsense. Imperial astronomer, I asked you to check the weather, not to exaggerate things like astrology. Hua Qing said coldly, "I don't have any evildoers by my side. You're overthinking things." "Your Majesty." The imperial astronomer kowtowed to the ground and cried out mournfully, "Your Majesty, you must believe this humble subject's words. Planet Chiming is currently dim and lightless. Planet Chiming is the brightest star and represents Your Majesty. But now that it's dim, I'm afraid it won't just affect Your Majesty, but also the entire country, Your Majesty." The imperial astronomer kowtowed to the ground, his forehead bruised and his expression pained. The little fox was so frightened that she clutched Hua Qing's clothes tightly and hid behind him. She felt even more uneasy. "Your Majesty, it's better to believe than not. Let the imperial astronomer investigate if there's an evildoer by Your Majesty's side. This way, Your Majesty and the ministers can rest assured," Ning Shu said gently. Hua Qing turned his head to look at Ning Shu. His eyes were dark and fierce as he roared at Ning Shu, "Shut up!" Ning Shu closed his mouth and didn't say anything. Hua Qingwang saw his mother being scolded and wanted to say something, but Ning Shu squeezed his hand and he quieted down. "Your Majesty, Her Majesty the Empress is thinking for Your Majesty. Please forgive Her Majesty." Dressed in armor, the white-bearded Marshal Xiao was practically begging Hua Qing. It made one's heart ache inexplicably. Hua Qing was angered to death by Marshal Xiao's behavior. It was as if he was an incapable ruler who couldn't distinguish between right and wrong. "Your Majesty, the most important thing now is to find out who the evildoer is and who the person who is harmful to the country of Yen is. There are so many buildings in the palace, but why was this strange building destroyed by the heavenly lightning? This kind of thing shouldn't exist in the palace. Your Majesty, the woman beside you is a demon." The Grand Preceptor was heartbroken. "Your Majesty, you have been bewitched by the woman beside you. She is a demon that has transformed into a human to bring disaster to the Yen Kingdom." When Hua Qing heard the Grand Preceptor's words, he was so angry that he almost fainted. He had clearly concealed Hu Er's identity well and was very careful. How did these people know that Hu Er had transformed into a human? Hua Qing's eyes were red. He gritted his teeth tightly and the muscles on his face were trembling. Ning Shu hurriedly pulled Hua Qingwang back and asked in fear, "Your Majesty, didn't you say she was the county magistrate's daughter? How could it be a monster? Your Majesty, come over quickly. Don't stand with the monster." "Shut up, poisonous woman." When Huaqing heard Ning Shu calling Hu a demon, he roared, "She's not a demon at all." Huaqing looked around and saw the empress hugging Hua Qingwang tightly. A group of ministers were kneeling in the rain. He felt powerless, as if he was against the world. Behind him, Hu was trembling in fear. "Your Majesty, you are really muddle-headed. You can't see such an obvious fact." Marshal Xiao said, "This woman is a fox spirit that has transformed into a human. She wants to shake the country. Does your Majesty not know about King Zhou of Shang and Sudaji? Your Majesty, are you going to ignore the Yen kingdom?" Since this demoness entered the palace, many things have happened. She has harmed the imperial heirs and has no regard for seniority. Your Majesty has been bewitched by this demon and doesn't care about it. If this continues, the country will no longer be a country and the ministers will no longer be ministers. The Grand Preceptor knelt in the rain, his body swaying. He was supported by the ministers beside him, but he still insisted, "Your Majesty, for the sake of the people of the Wei Kingdom, please kill this demoness and return the Yen Kingdom to its former glory. Your Majesty, please kill this demoness and return the Yen Kingdom to its former glory," the ministers shouted in unison. They kowtowed as if they were not afraid of pain. The little fox's face turned pale with fright. She couldn't help but cry out, "You stubborn old fogies! You want me to die because of a single star? You're treating human life like grass. You'll suffer retribution for this. This demoness has brought disaster to the Yen Kingdom. She deserves to die." The Grand Preceptor looked at the little fox with disgust. The little fox was stunned. How was she a demoness? How could she bring disaster to the country? How could a woman like her have such ability? The little fox was afraid and wronged. She had no grudge against these people. Why should they decide her fate so easily? Huaqing's blood boiled in his chest. A bloody taste rose in his throat. His head was throbbing with pain. He was angry and afraid. He was afraid that he would not be able to protect Hu. Huaqing swallowed the bloody taste in his mouth and said calmly, "There is no evidence to prove that this woman is a demoness. Your Majesty, this demoness was transformed from the fox beside your Majesty." The imperial astronomer pointed at the little fox. Huaqing immediately retorted, "The little fox by my side has already been killed. It's ridiculous that a beast can transform into a human. If I want officials like you to guard my country, I'd rather give up the country of Wei." "Your Majesty, I have solid evidence today. That is why I am purging you," the Grand Preceptor said. "Shaoanzi, who is by your Majesty's side, can prove it." "Shaoanzi?" Huaqing looked in shock at Shaoanzi, who walked over with his back bent. Then he knelt down with a plop. "Shaoanzi greets your Majesty and everyone." There was no fear on Shaoanzi's face. Huaqing felt uneasy when he saw Shaoanzi like this. He snorted and said, "Shaoanzi, be careful with your words. If you lie, I will have your head." Shaoanzi kowtowed and said, "I will definitely tell the truth. The woman beside your Majesty is transformed from the golden fox. The dead fox in the imperial garden was made by your Majesty. Your Majesty asked me to skin the dead fox." Shaoanzi kowtowed to the ground. "If I lie, I will fall into the 18th level of hell and never be reincarnated," Shaoanzi said coldly. His words were like a knife that scraped Huaqing's body. Huaqing did not expect that the dog beside him would bite him back. This damned eunuch actually dared to say such things. Huaqing shouted coldly, "Shaoanzi, I have treated you well. How dare you betray me?" "I did not betray your Majesty. I am loyal to the entire Yen Kingdom. Your Majesty connives with the evildoer and has an illicit relationship with the evildoer. Even if I am killed by your Majesty now, I will die without regrets. I only hate that I cannot kill the evildoer with my own hands." Shaoanzi looked at the little fox with hatred in his eyes. "Do you hate me?" The little fox could not figure out how she had offended him. "Of course I hate you. You made the emperor cruel. As a human, I was actually teased by a beast like you," Shaoanzi said hatefully. Ning Shu smiled faintly in his heart. No matter how small the nail was, it would still hurt. This was the price of being willful. Chapter 250. Huaqing regretted not taking down the marshal's residence. He wanted to take it slow, but with Hu by his side, he was afraid that if he was too aggressive, someone would hurt Hu. He wanted to slowly take the military power from old Marshal Zhao's hands. But now, he was forced to kill Hu by these officials. Hua Qing wanted nothing more than to chop these officials up. Time waits for no one. Now, he was a fish on the chopping board. He couldn't even protect the woman he loved. Hua Qing gripped the little fox's cold hand tightly. His eyes swept across the faces of these righteous officials. He calmly and coldly said, "I've said it before. The woman beside me is not some golden fox in disguise. Little Anzi, that dog of a slave, actually dares to frame me. Emperor, why are you so stubborn?" The old Grand Tutor straightened his back and said harshly, "If the emperor doesn't kill this evildoer who brings disaster to the country, this old official will kill himself here with all the officials. This old official doesn't want the emperor to do anything that will harm the foundation of our ancestors, Emperor. Emperor, please kill this evildoer who brings disaster to the country." The officials knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Hua Qing with serious expressions. Hua Qing was so angry that he staggered. Were they threatening him with death? Hua Qing didn't care about the lives of these officials at all, but he couldn't be labeled as muddle-headed. "Hua Qing, I'm so scared." When the little fox heard these people saying that they wanted to kill her, she was scared out of her wits. She felt very wronged. She was just a woman. What did she have to do with these people if she wanted to be happy? These people just wanted to kill her. Hua Qing tightly held the little fox's hand and said firmly, "With this one here, no one dares to do this to you. Emperor, you can't keep this witch alive. She really is a fox in disguise. This official has proof." Marshal Xiao knelt and cupped his hands to Hua Qing. He waved his hand to the deputy general beside him. Then, guards came over with Taoists. "Tell me the truth. Is the woman next to the emperor a fox spirit?" Marshal Xiao fiercely said to these Taoists. Several Taoist priests knelt on the ground. The rain soaked their Taoist robes, making them look miserable. They looked haggard and dispirited. The Taoist priests looked at each other and finally said, "The woman beside the emperor is a fox spirit. When the emperor found us, he wanted the golden fox to turn into a human." "Ridiculous! This is simply ridiculous," Hua Qing shouted. "How can an animal turn into a human? Make a human for me." Hua Qing felt very uneasy. These people had come prepared. He was really careless. He should have killed Old Man Xiao first. Then, the civil officials and military generals would not have joined forces to force him to abdicate. Animals can't transform into humans. It was me who offered the 1,000-year-old mermaid pearl. The golden fox swallowed the mermaid pearl to transform into a human, an elderly Taoist said hurriedly. "Ning Shu, didn't they say that there was only one shark pearl in the world? Why was there another one?" Hua Qing pointed at the people kneeling on the ground below. The moisture from the rain hit his body. It was very cold. Hua Qing suddenly felt very cold. "Are you going to rebel and force me to abdicate?" Hua Qing roared. "We don't dare. We can only disregard life and death and get rid of the evildoers around us. The evildoers who bring disaster to the country." The Grand Preceptor said righteously, "Your Majesty, you have been bewitched by this evildoer. You can't see the country and the people. If you let this evildoer do whatever she wants, I'm afraid that the Yan kingdom will be destroyed." Hua Qing was so angry that his body was trembling. He forced himself to calm down and said coldly, "Jin Ling is just a woman. She can't overturn the Yan kingdom. You think too highly of her." Hua Qing knew who. She didn't care about glory and wealth. She didn't like power and liked to play. How could she overturn the country? "Your Majesty, these ministers are working hard for the Yan kingdom. Everything they do is for the country and the people. Your Majesty, you should give up on Miss Jin Ling. Humans and demons are different." Ning Shu bowed and said to Hua Qing. When Hua Qing heard Ning Shu's words, he immediately said sternly, "Shut up. I suspect that you are jealous of Jin Ling. That's why you did this. Empress, your Xiao family has a lot of troops and wants to rebel. I have known about your ambitions for a long time." Ning Shu's face was immediately filled with grievances, as if she had been wronged. She said, Your Majesty, Qinxie is just a woman in the imperial harem. How could I have the ability to make the ministers do such a thing? You are a woman. Jean Ling is also a woman. Why did you do this to her? Are you happy to hit her when she is down? I really misjudged you. Ning Shu was speechless. He was speechless. He wasn't going after little fox, he was going after you. Ning Shu wiped his tears with a handkerchief. The little fox looked at Ning Shu unkindly and said resentfully, Your Majesty, even if you hate me, you can't put Hua Qing in such a dilemma. Ning Shu, bah, the one who put Hua Qing in such a dilemma is not me. It is you. It is your willfulness that put Hua Qing in such a dilemma. Ning Shu didn't speak. He kept wiping his tears. His aggrieved look made people feel sad. What right do you have to point at my mother? She is the empress of the Yan kingdom. She manages the harem diligently so that my father has no worries. My mother did nothing wrong. Instead, after you came to the palace, the entire palace was in a mess, Hua Chengwang said disdainfully. Hua Chengwang said disdainfully, You don't have proper etiquette. You never salute my mother when you see her. You're really an animal. Hua Qingwang, shut up. Hua Qing shouted at Hua Qingwang with bloodshot eyes. You have no right to speak here. Hua Qingwang was frightened by Hua Qing's ferocious face. He burst into tears and shouted, Father, you don't want me anymore? Father has an evildoer. You don't even want your wife and children. Father, wake up. Father, Wawa. Ning Shu hugged Hua Qingwang. He wiped his tears and said, Qing, don't cry. Qing, don't cry. Mother, Father only wants the vixen. He doesn't want me and Mother anymore. Hua Qingwang cried. This desolate look really made people's hearts ache. Hua Qing was instantly labeled as someone who had abandoned his wife and child. Hua Qing's blood boiled in his chest. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. He stared at Ning Shu and Hua Qingwang with wide eyes. He said to Hua Qingwang with hatred, Little wolf, you actually want to kill your father. Father, I didn't. I just want Father to leave this vixen. Mother and I can't live without Father. Hua Qingwang's face was full of sorrow. Hua Qing looked at Hua Qingwang and said coldly, The blood of the Shao family flows in your body. You have wild ambitions. When you were born, I should have strangled you to death. Hua Qing's sudden words stunned all the officials. Even a vicious tiger would not eat its cubs. Now, the emperor wanted to kill his son. He was the same as King Zhou of Shang. Chapter 251. The rain stopped, but there was a cold chill. The atmosphere outside the bedchamber was extremely solemn. Hua Qing suddenly laughed. He looked at these officials and said coldly, Speak, what do you want to do? Your Majesty, we just want you to mend your ways and kill the evildoer to restore order. The Grand Preceptor did not budge an inch. Hua Qing sneered. His aura was very frightening. What if I don't? I am the son of heaven, but I can't even protect the woman I love. I am a useless emperor. Your Majesty, you are carrying the people of the Yan kingdom. Even if we die, we will lead you to the right path. The imperial censor said loudly to Hua Qing. Hua Qing's expression was very cold. If you want to die, I will fulfill your wish. Hua Qing pulled out the large knife hanging from the waist of the guard beside him. With lightning speed, he stabbed the knife into the imperial censor's stomach. It happened too quickly. Everyone was shocked. The imperial censor who was stabbed said with difficulty, Your Majesty, please kill the evildoer. With this evildoer here, the Yan kingdom will not be safe. Hua Qing's face was livid with anger. He had actually helped the imperial censor achieve his eternal reputation. He was afraid that future generations would remember this official who had died for his remonstrance and was killed by him. Hua Qing's hand holding the knife trembled. His head was buzzing and cold sweat broke out on his back. Ning Shu was also shocked by Hua Qing's actions. He quickly said to Qing Zhu, Quickly call the Grand Preceptor. Don't let anything happen to Lord Wang. Qing Zhu quickly turned and ran. Ning Shu did not expect Hua Qing to make a move. The little fox was indeed his reverse scale. He would go crazy when others touched him. The imperial censor who was killed spat out blood. Until his last moment, he tried to persuade Hua Qing. Your Majesty, please kill the evildoer. Kill the evildoer. Before the imperial physicians could arrive, Lord Wang had already breathed his last. His blood flowed into the distance along with the rainwater, and the guards immediately carried Lord Wang away. Ning Shu looked at Huaqing with heavy eyes. When he turned his head, he saw the little fox covering her mouth in shock. He coldly said to the little fox, "The emperor did such an irrational thing for you. If you really love the emperor, you should end your own life. Don't make things difficult for the emperor. The emperor has labeled you as an incapable ruler." Ning Shu had only said it casually. He was sure that Little Fox would not dare to commit suicide. In essence, Little Fox was a selfish person. "Xiao Xiao, shut up." Huaqing stood in front of the little fox with a knife dripping with blood. "Jin Ling is my beloved woman. No one in this world can hurt her." Ning Shu was speechless. "Alright, as long as you're happy." Huaqing's actions stunned everyone. The officials kneeling on the ground were livid. The Grand Preceptor was so angry that he staggered. His voice trembled as he said, "Your Majesty, you might as well kill this old official. If you kill all of us, the Yen Kingdom will be in danger." As the Grand Preceptor spoke, he began to cry. "Previous Emperor, this official has wronged you. I did not assist the Emperor properly and allowed the Emperor to be bewitched by the evildoer and do such a cruel thing. Your Majesty, the officials just want to know your stance. Why don't we lock up this vixen first?" Ning Shu walked in front of Huaqing and bowed. "Shut up, Xiao Xiao. Don't think that I don't know what you're thinking." Huaqing looked at Ning Shu with cold disgust. Ning Shu said aggrievedly, "Your Majesty, everything this concubine has done is for your Majesty. But in this situation, someone has to take a step back. Lock up Jin Ling. Whether or not the next step is to kill her, I won't back down. Without Jin Ling, I don't want the throne or the Yen Kingdom." Huaqing's gaze swept over Ning Shu's face like a sharp knife. "Oh my, so affectionate. So touching." Ning Shu cried as she pulled on Huaqing's sleeve. "Your Majesty, this concubine is begging you. Don't make mistakes again." Huaqing waved his hand and shook off Ning Shu's hand. "Xiao Xiao, stop pretending. I never had any feelings for you. Now you dare to have thoughts about my Jin Ling. If you want her life, I will kill you first." Huaqing raised the knife in his hand and stabbed at Ning Shu. "Your Highness, be careful." Marshal Xiao and Ning Shu cried out in alarm. They wanted to stand up, but after kneeling on the ground for so long, their legs were numb. They could only watch as the knife stabbed at their granddaughter. Imperial Mother, quickly dodge." Huaqing Wang shouted at Ning Shu with all his strength. Ning Shu screamed and rolled on the ground. She used the most embarrassing posture to dodge Huaqing's knife. She looked at Huaqing with a shocked and sad expression. "Your Majesty, are you going to kill this concubine?" Huaqing's eyes were red. He tried to calm down, but there was a surge of anger in his heart that wanted to destroy everything. Huaqing knew he had fallen into a trap. "Huaqing." The little fox held Huaqing's hand and shook her head as she cried. "Huaqing, don't kill for me anymore. I don't want to make things difficult for you. I can leave the palace as long as you live well." Huaqing quickly grabbed the little fox's shoulder. "You are mine. I won't allow you to leave me." Ning Shu touched her already crooked hair and comforted the frightened Huaqing. Now that things had developed to this point, it was even more impossible for the civil and military officials to keep the little fox. The little fox was terrified and wanted to run away, but Huaqing kept her by his side domineeringly. The little fox's heart was in a mess. She was so scared that her body was trembling. She cried and shouted at Huaqing, "Huaqing, I don't want to die. I really don't want to die. No one can let you die. With me here, no one can hurt you." Huaqing hugged the crying little fox. Ning Shu felt his teeth ache. It was so boring to be all lovey-dovey. "Your Majesty, if you want the evildoer to live, then please abdicate. This way, the evildoer will do the least damage to the Yen Kingdom." The Grand Preceptor threw caution to the wind and asked Huaqing to abdicate. "We agree. Your Majesty, please abdicate." The officials knelt on the ground and said in unison. Huaqing's body shook and his teeth seemed to be chattering. "So you were waiting for me here? You want to dethrone me? The Yen Kingdom belongs to the Hua family. This country was conquered by the Hua family. When did it become your turn to make decisions? We are all doing this for the future of the Yen kingdom. If your majesty doesn't want to abdicate, then kill the evildoer. I have lived for so long and don't have much time left. If I can do something for the Yen kingdom in the end, I can say that I have fulfilled my duty to the late emperor in the afterlife. The Grand Preceptor didn't care about life and death. Hua Qing felt cold all over. He just wanted to have a woman he loved. Why did these people have to be like this? They had to make him a high and mighty loner, without whom there would be no joy to speak of. Now, there were two paths before Hua Qing. If he wanted the throne, he couldn't have the little fox. If he wanted the little fox, he couldn't have the throne. Chapter 252. Now, Hua Qing was deserted by everyone. For the woman he loved, he stood against everyone. No one objected to Hua Qing doting on a woman, but there was a limit to everything. Once this limit was crossed, there would be repercussions. Hua Qing's love for the little fox was without any principles or bottom line. He allowed the little fox to break the rules that everyone should abide by without restraint. Moreover, this love was built on the basis of hurting others. Everyone looked at Hua Qing, including the little fox. At this moment, Hua Qing felt as if he was standing on a mountain surrounded by cliffs, unable to advance or retreat. Hua Qing gritted his teeth. The muscles on his face trembled and his eyes were red. His heart felt like it was being tortured in a pan of oil. Hua Qing couldn't understand how things had turned out like this. This was a complete conspiracy. They were using the excuse of dealing with to deal with him. Hua Qing swallowed hard. His expression was dazed, as if his soul was about to leave his body. Why? We'll discuss this matter later. Hua Qing said with difficulty. We will give everyone an explanation for this matter. How will your majesty deal with this evildoer? Lord Wang is already dead and the empress almost lost her life. We can't just let this matter rest. Marshal Xiao said agitatedly. Someone has to take responsibility for tonight's matter. Hua Qing rubbed his forehead. He staggered and almost fell. The little fox quickly supported Hua Qing. She looked at Hua Qing with her watery eyes. Hua Qing's heart softened when he saw her. Hua Qing loved it when Hua looked at him with such eyes. It was pure, beautiful, innocent, and clear. It was as if she had received the whole world. We'll talk about this later. Hua Qing's face turned green and he couldn't stop trembling. Hua Qing was forced into a corner by these people. He could only say, capture Jin Ling first. The little fox's eyes widened as she stared at Hua Qing in a daze. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she complained, Hua Qing, you gave me up for the throne. You keep saying that you love me but you gave up on me. Hua Qing wanted to grab the little fox's hand, but the little fox took a step back. You gave me up. Hua Qing felt as if someone was stabbing his heart with a knife. The pain was excruciating. He really wanted to tell the little fox that this was just a temporary measure. He would definitely not let anything happen to the little fox. But little fox had no idea what Hua Qing was thinking. All she knew was that Hua Qing had given up on her for the sake of power. Hua Qing said he loved her, but he couldn't win against power. Hua Qing, I hate you. This is your love for me. You want my life for the sake of power. The little fox wept silently. She looked especially miserable and beautiful. Ning Shu was speechless. Ning Shu suddenly sympathized with Hua Qing. How tiring was it to like someone whose thoughts were not on the same channel as yours? Any woman in the imperial harem would know what to choose now. As long as Hua Qing was still the emperor, she would be fine. At the end of the day, women from ancient families were different from modern women. The little fox looked down on the ancient women, but from a certain point of view, the ancient women were much more sensible and intelligent than modern women. They were willing to make sacrifices for their own goals. Little Fox was acting as if she had been betrayed and was heartbroken. She simply couldn't understand. The ministers were probably shocked by Little Fox's actions. After kneeling for so long, they simply sat on the ground and looked at the two people. Hua Qingwang quietly asked Ning Shu, Mother, what will Imperial Father choose in the end? Qingwang, what do you think? Ning Shu asked Hua Qingwang. It's not worth giving up the throne for a woman, especially one like her. Hua Qingwang was silent for a moment. Finally, he concluded, Imperial father will give up on her. Is that so? Ning Shu didn't deny it. Marshal Xiao stood up and said, "If your majesty can't make a decision, this old official is willing to make a decision for your majesty. This old official will kill this demoness for your majesty. After this, if your majesty wants to kill me, this old official will have no objections." "Old man, don't you dare." Hu Qing stood in front of Little Fox and coldly shouted at Marshal Xiao, "Are you trying to rebel?" In order to set things right, even if this official is accused of rebellion, this old official will have no regrets. Marshal Xiao's beard was white. When he said such words, it made people's hearts sour. It made Hu Qing seem even more foolish. Eunuch Qiu rushed over and said in Hu Qing's ear, "Your Majesty, Marshal Xiao's army has taken control of the entire capital. The palace has been surrounded." Hu Qing's hand trembled. This day had indeed come. Hu Qing regretted not getting rid of the Xiao family earlier. Now, he was being harmed instead. Now that things had developed to this point, there were no three paths for Hu Qing to take. Hu Qing looked at the heartbroken Little Fox and the aggressive ministers. It was as if all his strength had been sucked away. He felt indescribably helpless. "Can I send this woman away?" Hu Qing was already showing weakness by saying this. The ministers shook their heads. "This woman is a demoness. If she's not of our race, we will kill her. If she harbors resentment, it will also be harmful to the Yan kingdom." "Hu Qing, I was wrong about you. I thought you truly loved me, but you did it for the throne." Little Fox shook her head with tears streaming down her face. She looked as if she couldn't accept it. "Okay, I'll leave. I don't want to see you again." She came to the ancient times and fell in love with a man, but this was the result. Little Fox clutched the front of her clothes in pain. Little Fox was in pain, but Hu Qing was in even more pain. Hearing Little Fox's words was like cutting his heart. This woman had already integrated into every corner of his body. She was a part of him. Hu Qing couldn't imagine what it would be like without Little Fox. "Mother is betting that your imperial father will choose Little Fox," Ning Shu said quietly to Hu Qingwang. Hu Qingwang immediately frowned. His expression was especially serious. He shook his head like a little adult. How can that be? It wasn't easy for imperial father to ascend to the throne. How can he give it up so easily? Back then, the fight for the throne was so tragic. In order to ascend to the throne, Hu Qing married Xiao Xiao. But now, he had to give up the throne for a woman. Even Hu Qingwang felt that it wasn't worth it. But if he didn't do this, how could he show Hu Qing's love for Little Fox? Veins popped out on Hu Qing's forehead. Ever since he ascended to the throne, he had never been in such a sorry state. He was really in such a sorry state. He was forced to this extent. "I give up the throne," Hu Qing said through gritted teeth. His gums were bleeding. "I give up the throne." The ministers, Hu Qingwang, everyone looked at Hu Qing in a daze. They looked at him as if he was crazy. He had lost his mind. Little Fox looked at Hu Qing sadly and was stunned. Her tears suddenly burst out like a dam. She murmured, "Hu Qing, for you, everything is worth it." Chapter 253. Hu Qing gave up the throne. No matter how the ministers persuaded him, it was useless. Hu Qing took the opportunity to say that if the Little Fox stayed by his side, he would continue to be the emperor. The ministers immediately calmed down and didn't say anything. Hu Qing had no choice but to give up the throne. Otherwise, the Little Fox would die. Now that the entire palace was surrounded, he was like a crab with its claws tied. He couldn't bear to let Hu get hurt. Seeing the tears of joy and the deep affection in Hu's eyes, Hu Qing felt that it was worth it. Perhaps he and Hu would have a different life. In the end, Hu Qing and the Little Fox were restrained in the bedchamber. Hu Qing's eyes landed on Ning Shu. He said coldly, "Empress, you are the one who brought disaster to the Yan kingdom." Ning Shu didn't understand. She said with grievance, "I don't understand what you are talking about, Emperor. You led the wolf into the house. Your Xiao family wants to be the master of this country. You have wild ambitions. I have always been on guard against your Xiao family. I didn't expect you to be one step ahead. I missed a good opportunity." Hu Qing looked at Ning Shu with disgust. I have always hated you. Back then, it was as if I begged to marry you. I have always hated you. I should have strangled Hua Qingwang. Ning Shu bowed and said lightly, Thank you, Your Majesty, for tolerating Qinxie for so many years. Back then, Qinxie did not force Your Majesty to marry Qinxie. Instead, Your Majesty married Qinxie for the throne. Qinxie has nothing to feel wronged about, so why should Your Majesty feel wronged? Not to mention, Your Majesty has been using Qinxie since the beginning. Then, were you the one who planned tonight's incident? Hua Qing's poisonous eyes scraped Ning Shu. Ning Shu shook her head. Your Majesty, this matter has nothing to do with this concubine. This concubine is just a woman in the imperial harem. The people you look down on don't have the ability to move the court officials. Your Majesty, you think too much. Ning Shu held Hua Qingwang's hand and left. Walking on the wet road, the rain seeped into their shoes and made them feel cold. Hua Qingwang looked at the Empress's back. Her hair was messy, but she walked calmly. He had never understood this wife he had married as a decoration. When they returned to the bedroom, Ning Shu asked someone to boil water for a bath. It was not good to catch a cold. Hua Qingwang was a little depressed. How sad must Hua Qingwang be to hear his father say that he should be strangled when he was born? Qingwang, you don't need to mind your imperial father's words. This kind of person doesn't deserve to be a father. Ning Shu patted Qingwang's head. No matter what, imperial mother will protect you. Hua Qingwang raised his head. He looked at Ning Shu and said, Mother, I feel bad for you. You've done so much for father, yet father treats you like this. Ning Shu smiled. Hearing this, his heart felt warm. Because your imperial father doesn't like your imperial mother. He likes Little Fox. He can do anything for Little Fox. Does imperial father not have any sense of responsibility and justice for imperial mother? Hua Qingwang looked at Ning Shu and asked. Imperial father has gone crazy. See, even a child knew this. But Hua Qingwang had fallen into his own fantasy of a beautiful love. He only wanted the beauty and not the country. Who knew if he would regret it in the future? Hua Qing gave up the throne, and the country also gave up on him. Hua Qing and Little Fox were sent out of the palace. They lived in a spacious manor. Many people were sent to guard it. Hua Qingwang was now the retired emperor. No one could stop the love between him and Little Fox. As Hua Qing's only son, Hua Qingwang would inherit the throne. After Hua Qing left the palace, Hua Qingwang would inherit the throne in 3 days. The palace was bustling with activity. The sound of bells rang out. Ning Shu wore a palace robe embroidered with gold and silver luan birds and a phoenix coronet. He held Hua Qingwang's hand, who was wearing a dragon robe and a crown with 12 beads. Under the worship of hundreds of officials, they walked step by step toward the gilded dragon throne. Hua Qingwang tightly pursed his lips. He walked step by step steadily. His lips were tightly pursed, and his expression was serious. Ning Shu wore flame-red makeup. The ends of his eyes were raised, making him look fierce and aggressive. He stepped on the steps and walked up step by step. Hua Qingwang sat on the dragon throne. His legs couldn't even touch the ground, but his back was straight. He looked abnormally solemn. Ning Shu sat on a chair next to him and gave Hua Qingwang an encouraging look. Long live the emperor. The hundreds of officials knelt down. Their voices were loud and clear. Hua Qingwang's voice was a bit tender. It even trembled slightly. He said loudly, Everyone, pay your respects. Ning Shu watched from the side. Seeing Hua Qingwang's appearance, he felt relieved. At least he didn't become a useless prince like in the plot. Perhaps Hua Qingwang could become a good emperor. In a high position, even if he had power, he couldn't be too willful. Hua Qingwang made the Grand Preceptor the head of the cabinet. Marshal Xiao handed over his military power. Hua Qingwang held the commander's seal and compensated Marshal Xiao by making him the Duke of Zhen. His descendants had the right to inherit the title. Since then, the Grand Preceptor and Marshal Xiao's families dominated the court. In addition to Hua Qingwang's military power, they formed a stable triangle. The distant sound of the bell spread throughout the capital. Hua Qing stood in the courtyard and looked in the direction of the palace. The little fox was nestled in Hua Qing's arms. She looked at Hua Qing and said, Do you regret giving up the throne? Huaqing lowered his head and kissed the little fox's forehead. He said, I told you. You are the most important thing to me. Huaqing, meeting you is my greatest fortune. The little fox hugged Huaqing's neck. She stood on her tiptoes and kissed Huaqing's lips. Huaqing hugged the little fox tightly. He had nothing left but the little fox. From now on, she was his everything. Huaqing kissed the little fox passionately. He tried not to let himself regret. After a series of complicated ceremonies, Ning Shu finally accompanied Huaqing through the process of ascending the throne. She was exhausted. Huaqing's face was pale. Ning Shu quickly had someone prepare hot water for washing up. After the two of them washed up, Huaqing looked at Ning Shu in a daze and asked, Mother, I am now the emperor? Ning Shu looked at her silly face and smiled. You are now the emperor. You need to call yourself, okay? Mother, I will protect you from now on. I will never let you get hurt again. Huaqing hugged Ning Shu and gritted his teeth. Ning Shu patted him on the back. She felt Huaqing cry. She immediately said, Don't cry. Cheng, no one will be able to hurt you anymore. With Cheng protecting me, no one will dare to bully me. Huaqing wiped away his tears and said, But father, don't worry about your father. He is no longer the master of this country. He gave it up himself. Ning Shu said calmly, As long as I am here, no one will be able to hurt you. Not even your father. I should be the one protecting you now. I hope you won't be sad for my father. She wasn't sad at all. Really. Chapter 254. Huaqing handed the commander's seal to Ning Shu, but Ning Shu did not accept it. He said to Huaqing, Emperor, from now on, this is yours. Keep it safe. This commander's seal is what you rely on. If you encounter any problems, ask the officials for advice. Mother will retire in the back palace. Huaqing smiled and said, Imperial Mother is not old at all. If Imperial Mother wants to live with Imperial Father, it is possible. Please don't. Your father hates me to the bone. I don't want to go. My days in the back palace are comfortable. Ning Shu quickly waved his hand. Emperor, you are the ruler now. Emperor, you are now the ruler of all the people. You must think twice before you do anything. Learn more from your teacher. The imperial court pursues the doctrine of the mean. There must be a limit to everything. Mother Empress wants to say so much. You must keep the commander's seal. You must not be deceived by others. This is what you need to settle down and live your life. Ning Shu wanted to reach out and pat Huaqing's head, but he remembered that Huaqing was now the emperor. It would not be good to touch him. Huaqing grabbed Ning Shu's hand and placed it on his head. He said, I know Mother has done a lot for me. I hope Mother can be happy. Mother used to say this to me. Now, I hope Mother can be happy. Huaqing's eyes were watery and sincere as he looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu smiled and said, Mother is very happy. Although Huaqing had become the emperor, he did not have the right to make decisions in the court. Huaqing was not in a rush. He was slowly learning. Most of the court matters were decided by the old Grand Tutor. For a time, he was very powerful. However, the old Grand Tutor did not dare to be too arrogant. First, the emperor had military power. Next to him was the Duke Zhen. There was also the Empress Dowager, who did not seem to care about the back palace. Greetings to the Empress Dowager. Royal Noble Consort Xian, no, Royal Noble Consort Ning Shu, bowed. Why don't you take good care of your body? You look thinner than before. Ning Shu looked at her and asked. Now that she was able to eat and sleep well and didn't need to scheme against each other, her days were too comfortable. Thus, when Ning Shu saw Imperial Noble Consort Xian's haggard appearance, he felt a sense of disappointment. Many thanks for the Empress Dowager's concern. As long as this concubine wants that demoness, it's like a fishbone in this concubine's throat. This concubine's heart is filled with hatred. Imperial concubine Xian said hatefully, Imperial concubine, back then you said that you could take revenge. But now, that demoness is still alive and well. Ning Shu looked at her. Speaking of which, it was all thanks to Imperial Noble Consort Xian that they were able to cooperate with the Imperial Tutor's residence. The influence of the imperial tutor's residence was weakening in the imperial court. Furthermore, they did not have any outstanding descendants. They had originally hoped that the imperial noble consort in the palace would be able to give birth to a successor. If they gave it a shot, they might be able to bring their clan back to glory. It wasn't easy for her to get pregnant, but in the end, she had a miscarriage. Furthermore, her body was severely injured, and she wouldn't be able to get pregnant in the future. Ning Shu promised that as long as Huaqing was defeated and Hu Qingwang ascended the throne, the imperial tutor would enter the cabinet and become the grand secretary. This position could be considered the highest rank among the civil officials. The imperial tutor agreed. Furthermore, if a little radish ascended the throne, his authority would naturally be greater. The imperial tutor probably didn't expect that the Shao clan would actually hand over their military power. With the military power in the hands of the emperor, the throne would be even more stable. Out of self-preservation, the Shao clan wanted to pull Huaqing down. The reason why the Shao clan wasn't willing to hand over their military power was because they knew that Huaqing was afraid of the Shao clan. However, handing over the military power meant death. Without the military power, the empress and the little prince in the imperial harem would probably not be able to protect themselves. The military power was actually a hot potato, but they had no choice but to hold on to it tightly to save their lives. Death isn't the best outcome. You don't have to be too anxious. Ning Shu said, not all love is so strong. Their love might not be as beautiful as imagined. Let's go out of the palace and take a look. Ning Shu suddenly wanted to see how Huaqing and the others were doing. The little fox's life was saved, but she couldn't leave the retired emperor's residence. It could be said that the two of them were under house arrest. When Ning Shu and the imperial concubine arrived at the retired emperor's residence, the little fox's voice came from inside. She was shouting at Huaqing, "Huaqing, I'm too bored. I want to go out and play." "I'm afraid we can't go out. There are people guarding outside." Huaqing's voice said lightly. The little fox said indignantly, "They are illegally restricting other people's freedom. This is against the law." Huaqing didn't say anything. The retired Empress Dowager has arrived. The imperial concubine has arrived. The eunuch shouted in a sharp voice. Ning Shu and the imperial concubine walked in. Ning Shu saw that the little fox's stomach was slightly bulging. He hadn't noticed during this period of time, but the little fox was actually pregnant. However, it didn't seem to be very far along. When the imperial concubine saw the little fox's bulging stomach, her body trembled. Her expression was extremely bad. When Huaqing saw the bright and beautiful Ning Shu, she said coldly, "What are you doing here?" Ning Shu looked around the room and finally nodded. It seems like the retired emperor's living environment is not bad. Seeing the two women, the little fox immediately covered her stomach and hid behind Huaqing. The previous incident of the forced abdication had made the little fox tremble. Now that she saw Ning Shu, the little fox's heart trembled. In addition, Huaqing often said that his throne was taken away by the empress. The little fox was quite afraid of this evil empress. So what if she was powerful? How could a woman whose husband didn't love her be happy? Your Shao family supported a puppet emperor. Are you going to usurp the throne soon? Huaqing looked coldly at Ning Shu. Her lips were extremely red and her makeup was extremely sharp. It felt like one would be suppressed by her aura if they stood in front of her. Ning Shu raised her eyebrows. My Shao family has already given up their military power. Qingwang is not some puppet emperor. Your Shao family handed over their military power? Huaqing's expression was somewhat shaken. Ning Shu smiled. Her face was like a slowly blooming rose with thorns, beautiful and piercing. You schemed to take the Shao family's military power, but now your son has effortlessly obtained it. Huaqing pursed her lips. As long as the country is still in the hands of the Hua family. You are now the retired emperor. You don't have to worry about the country's affairs. Ning Shu smiled. I wish you all happiness. Ning Shu turned and left. She could tell that Huaqing wasn't doing well. There was a hint of depression between her brows that couldn't be dissolved. When a man's power was taken away, his glory would be reduced by more than half. Knowing that you all aren't doing well, I feel much better. On the way back to the palace, Imperial Consort Xian's face was gloomy. Ning Shu knew that she wasn't willing to accept it, but Ning Shu didn't want to care. Whatever Imperial Consort Xian wanted to do, Ning Shu wouldn't stop her. Not long after, news of the little fox's miscarriage came. The little fox had a playful personality to begin with. In the end, she fell down the stairs and reddened on the spot. Hua Qing almost went crazy. Even so, the little fox still miscarried. Chapter 255. Ning Shu felt that little fox's miscarriage must have been caused by Grand Concubine Xian, but Ning Shu did not say anything and pretended not to know anything. After little fox's miscarriage, she lay on the bed with a blank expression. Hua Qing hugged little fox and kept telling her that she would have a child in the future. Little fox looked at Hua Qing. His face was much thinner and his eyes were filled with worry and love. But for some reason little fox felt sick of it and was even glad that the child was gone. If she really lived like a hostage in the retired emperor's residence with Hua Qing, what joy would there be in such a life? Seeing Hua Qing every day really made her feel a little bored. Little fox felt that her love for Hua Qing had entered a period of weakness. There was nothing new about it anymore. Little fox wanted to go out for a walk. Was her ancient life like this? To be imprisoned in the retired emperor's residence for the rest of her life. Little fox also felt that Hua Qing was far less charming than before. What she loved was not power and money, but power and money were definitely the embodiment of charm. Men were only charming because of their career. But Hua Qing had been stripped of his position as emperor and his halo had been stripped away. Little fox felt suffocated at the thought of living a mediocre life in the retired emperor's residence for the rest of her life. She wanted to escape from this prison. Hua Qing clearly felt the change in Little Fox's attitude towards him, but he did not say anything. He had given up everything except for Little Fox. No matter what, he had to capture Little Fox. She was the only thing left in his life. Without the throne, his wife and son were like enemies. His life was so lonely that Little Fox was the only thing left. Hua Qing treated Little Fox better and better, but the more Hua Qing was like this, the more frustrated Little Fox was and the more she wanted to leave this suffocating place. Hua Qing was depressed all day. Looking at the palace, he felt a little regretful. He was supposed to be the high and mighty emperor. Why couldn't the throne and Little Fox coexist? Hua Qing and Little Fox began to argue. Little Fox cried and threw a tantrum to leave, but Hua Qing could not let her go. If Little Fox left, everything he had done and given up would be meaningless. In any case, he couldn't have a peaceful day. When Ning Shu found out that Little Fox had escaped from the retired emperor's residence time and time again, only to be caught by the people who were monitoring her, he was so angry that he almost went crazy. Hua Qing did not care about it, but there was only resentment between the two. Hua Qing complained that Little Fox did not understand him and that he had sacrificed so much for Little Fox. But Little Fox complained that Hua Qing was selfish, trapping herself in such a place and making life boring. It was only then that Hua Qing truly felt the difference in Little Fox. No other woman was as passionate about running outside as Little Fox. Other women and women would never step out of the house, but Little Fox would die if she stayed at home. Ning Shu smiled faintly. He seemed to be extremely loyal, but he couldn't withstand the ravages of time and details. The giant wheel of love sank just like that. Ning Shu called Hua Qingwang to the palace for a meal. Now that her mission had been completed, it would not be long before she left this world. Before she left, she wanted to have a meal with her temporary son. Hua Qingwang grew very quickly. He was already at Ning Shu's chin. He ate everything during meals, but he didn't eat much. No one could tell what he liked to eat or what he disliked to eat. He hid his preferences so that no one would know about it. Ning Shu placed Hua Qingwang's favorite food on his plate and said to him, "Mother's Qingwang will definitely be a good emperor. Your son will not disappoint mother's expectations." Hua Qingwang said very seriously. Ning Shu smiled and said, "I hope that in the future, when you have a woman you like, it's okay to dote on her. Don't ever be like your father, who only left behind exhausted ashes in the end due to overly intense feelings. A gentle flow of water is beautiful. Most importantly, don't fall in love with a woman who is too stupid. Your son understands. If I have a woman I like in the future, I will definitely let mother take a look." Hu Qingwang nodded and said with a smile, with father's example, your son does not dare to fall in love with women. As long as you have a sense of propriety. Ning Shu said. Finally, he patted Hu Qingwang's head and said, Cheng, good luck. After the meal, Hu Qingwang left. Ning Shu lay on the bed and took a nap. Ding Ning Shu moi, did you miss me? 2333's voice suddenly sounded in his mind. Ning Shu said, Scram. Would it kill you to be nicer to me? 2333's voice sounded very wronged. Mission completed, Livren world. Ning Shu's head buzzed and then he did not feel anything. When he woke up, he was in the dimensional space. He looked down at his soul. Although it was a bit dim, it was not as exhausted as before. 2333 system sir, see how many points I have this time. Ning Shu's status panel appeared in front of him. Number 23333 name, Ning Shu age, 27 experience, 800060000 soul, 200 HP, 50 wisdom, 85 charm, 3 luck, 34 spirit, 120 martial strength, 10 aptitude, 26 merit, 5 skills, 5 rings spear technique, trash fighting technique, trash entry-level peerless martial arts honorary title, Goddess of Warra, Mother of the World, Queen's Blessing, mission completion, 100. Received 10 attribute points. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows and asked 2333, what the hell is this Mother of the World aura? You changed Hu Qingwang's fate. The original owner, Xiao Xiao, is grateful to you. You have the halo of being the Mother of the World. Actually, this is the original owner giving you some of the people's faith. He also gave you some of his luck. That good? Ning Shu was a bit surprised. With 60,000 points and 10 attribute points, the biggest reward was probably this Mother of the World aura. Ning Shu added the 10 attribute points to his HP and luck. Number 23333 name, Ning Shu age, 27 experience, 140000 soul, 200 HP, 505 wisdom, 85 charm, 3 luck, 345 spirit, 120 martial strength, 10 aptitude, 26 merit, 5 skills, 5 rings spear technique, trash fighting technique, trash entry-level peerless martial arts honorary title, Goddess of Warra, Mother of the World, Queen's Blessing, Ning Shu, you can do it. Now you have 140,000 points. Wait for 200,000 points and you can open the beginner system mall. Beginner system mall? Is there an advanced system mall? Ning Shu asked. 2333's tone was filled with longing. The best is still the super system mall. There are all kinds of treasures in there. I've seen someone exchange for a plane. Those who can open the super system mall are like gods. It's good that you can open the beginner system mall. Damn, I can't imagine. Chapter 256. Ning Shu counted with his fingers when he would be able to open the system store. He estimated that he would only need to do one more quest before he could open it. Suddenly, he was filled with fighting spirit. Once he opened the system store, he would be able to exchange for soul training. He wouldn't have to train like a tortoise anymore. Every time he stayed in the quest world, his soul would be greatly depleted. Ning Shu, do you have a quest to complete? 2333 Ning Shu asked. Ning Shu asked, what's a quest? It's a quest to make the target fall in love with you. 2333 explained. Ning Shu was speechless. Haha, fall in love with me? Ning Shu pointed at his own nose. With my 3 points of charm, do you think I can make someone fall in love with me? Don't belittle yourself. You're actually quite handsome. 2333 said, besides, you're using the body of the defiant attacker. You're using your soul to conquer him. Ning Shu waved his hand. I'm not going. Why not? 2333 was puzzled. This quest is very popular. It wasn't easy for me to get it. It's also very easy. This quest is easy? How can it be easy? Ning Shu's expression was calm. It's to make someone fall in love with someone else. 2333 quickly said, that's right. You just have to make the target fall in love with you. It's better than fighting and killing. It's easier and easier than the tiring quests. fall in love with me or the original owner? Ning Shu frowned. 2333 immediately said, of course it's the original owner. If not, why would the target pay the price to be conquered? Ning Shu, is there something wrong with your brain? Can't you understand something as simple as this? Ha, you're the one with something wrong with your brain. The original owner and I are not the same person. After I left, the original owner returned to his body. How can love be gained through a quest? Ning Shu waved his hand. I'm not going to do this quest. Can a relationship gained through someone else's quest last? She could leave the mission world without any reluctance because she didn't have any emotional entanglements with the people inside. Love was mutual. It wasn't as if you could win someone's heart by doing a few things. You also had to give your heart. This kind of thing is the most mysterious. Even the true love between the male and female lead can be torn apart, let alone this kind of illusory love. Since the Wishmaster wanted to use her soul power to make the target fall in love with her, it meant that the target didn't love the Wishmaster at all. Ning Shu felt that she didn't have the ability or charm to make the man fall in love with her. If he didn't love her, then he didn't love her. Emotional debt was the hardest to repay. Furthermore, using such a method to get close to the target meant that this relationship wasn't simple from the start. 2333 system, don't give me this kind of quest in the future. I can't do it, Ning Shu said directly. Ning Shu would rather do some fighting and killing quests. At least he felt happy. Alright, you really don't know how to appreciate my kindness. I think you're working too hard on the quests. You can make simple quests so complicated. Take the Empress quest for example. You can totally woo the Emperor Huaqing. With Huaqing around, nothing will be a problem, 2333 said. In the end, you made it so complicated. You formed factions and usurped the throne. Aren't you tired? Ning Shu was speechless. I'm happy. Do you want to sleep with me and Huaqing? Do you really think the Empress wants to see another woman in her body sleep with her husband? Ning Shu dared to guarantee with his own head that if she really slept with Huaqing, the Empress would never give her the halo of being the mother of the world, even if this man had wronged her a lot. However, if her husband fell in love with someone suddenly appeared and slept with her, it would be even more humiliating for the Empress. 2333, you're a system after all. You don't understand humans, and you don't understand human women. This kind of creature is so complicated that it will burn your main brain, Ning Shu said disdainfully. 2333, don't give me this kind of quest in the future. I can't do it. Ning Shu reiterated again. He didn't want to do this kind of quest that was deceptive. It was too tiring. Ning Shu sat cross-legged on the ground and began to cultivate. After some time, Ning Shu opened his eyes. He saw that his soul had become thicker and felt a sense of accomplishment. 2333, let's start the quest, Ning Shu said as he stood up. 2333 said weakly, okay. He was probably dissatisfied with Ning Shu's rejection. Ning Shu also felt that rejecting 2333 was too stiff. He wanted to say something, but his mind went blank and then he lost consciousness. When Ning Shu woke up, he found that his body was flying. Then he fell to the ground with a bang. He was in so much pain that he couldn't stop breathing. His body was about to fall apart. A hot and sticky liquid surged up his throat. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Damn, what's going on? It's so painful. Niece, aren't you a little too vicious? A man's voice was filled with resentment. Uncle Wei, it's hard to avoid accidental injuries in a duel. If Hui Di makes you unhappy, you can punish her as you wish. A clear and cold female voice rang out. This voice was very pleasant to the ears, like the sound of spring water splashing on jade. The tinkling sound carried boundless coldness. Just by hearing this voice, one could imagine the appearance of a peerless beauty in one's mind. Ning Shu endured the pain in her heart. When she opened her eyes, she saw a woman in white. Her hair fluttered in the wind. Her face was covered by a thin veil, revealing her cold eyes and a forehead as bright as moonlight. Although she was wearing a veil, she could feel that the face behind the veil was definitely a peerless beauty. Cold like Chang Yi from the Cold Palace. Her temperament was ethereal. Seeing this woman, Ning Shu's brain didn't react. He said first, "It's okay, It doesn't hurt. Motherfucker, it hurts so much. Wait, what's with this coarse male voice? Ning Shu quickly touched his chest. It's flat. Ning Shu didn't give up and touched his lower body. There was a lump hanging down there. Damn, what's going on? Sherhuidi saw this man doing such a vulgar action in front of her. She held the thin veil in her hand and prepared to hit Ning Shu again. Ning Shu still hadn't recovered from the shock of transmigrating into a man. He saw this woman with a veil swinging a cloth-like weapon towards him. Although it was a cloth, it carried a swift and fierce wind. It made Ning Shu feel as if he was facing a sword. Ning Shu couldn't move now. He quickly shouted, "I admit defeat, I surrender." Ha! The sound of laughter came from below the stage. It was obvious that they were laughing at Ning Shu. Suddenly, there was a strong chi that knocked away Sherhuidi's cloth. A person stood in front of Ning Shu and stuffed a pill into his mouth. After swallowing the pill, Ning Shu felt much better. Chapter 257. After taking the pill, Ning Shu slowly got up from the ground and looked at the woman with a veil on her face. This woman was quite ruthless. She couldn't even move and didn't have the strength to fight back, yet she still wanted to hit her when she was down. The middle-aged man standing in front of Ning Shu also had an ugly expression. He glanced at the cold and cheerless Sherhuidi, then turned his head and snorted coldly at Ning Shu, exasperated that she had failed to meet his expectations. Ning Shu was dumbfounded. She could only lower her head. Her body really hurt. Her heart was hurt. How did she become a man? A man's body, a woman's soul, a transvestite. Hongmen sect versus Tiandao sect. Hongmen sect's Grandmaster Huidi wins. The referee shouted. Ning Shu looked around. It was probably a competition between disciples of different sections. She was defeated by this woman called Sherhuidi. Looking at this woman, Ning Shu's heart was restless. This wasn't Ning Shu's feeling but the reaction of this body. The middle-aged man saw Ning Shu's expression and his face turned ugly. He poured out another pill from the jade bottle and stuffed it into Ning Shu's mouth. Go back to your room and heal yourself. If you don't cultivate properly in the future, this kind of shameful thing will happen again. Ning Shu responded. She had no idea where her room was, so she simply covered her chest and fell asleep on the ground, unable to get up. Ta! The crowd laughed again. The middle-aged man looked around coldly. Only then did the laughter die down. He ordered people to carry Ning Shu away. Ning Shu, who was carried to her room, was lying on the bed. She roared at 2333 in her mind. How did I become a man? I'm sorry. I located you wrongly. You know that I used a lot of energy to save you last time. 2333's voice was filled with guilt. Ning Shu, I'm short of breath. But this man is also a rebel. Since you transmigrated into his body, you should help him complete the task. 2333 said weakly. I don't want to talk anymore. I don't have any energy left. Ning Shu was speechless. Ning Shu was at a loss. He was used to peeing while squatting. Suddenly, he had to stand up and take out something to pee. Ning Shu felt that he couldn't do it. With grief, anger, and helplessness, Ning Shu began to accept the plot. This was a world of cultivation, where the strong were respected and the weak were treated like dogs. The original owner was called Wei Liangyue, and people called him Prince Liangyue. His father was an elder of the Tiandao sect, and he was a true rich second generation. He had a lot of cultivation resources, but because of his powerful father, the original owner was always successful in the Tiandao sect. Even when he went out, people would give face to his father and not make things difficult for him. The original owner didn't like to cultivate at all. She was passionate about the matters between men and women. This kind of reputation spread out. Moreover, the original owner had a fiancée, Sherhuidi, who was on the stage before. The original owner really liked this fiancée. Sherhuidi looked like a human character. Even if the original owner had slept with so many women, he still liked Sherhuidi in his heart. However, the original owner was a useless man who relied on his father's protection. He was also a man who ruined many women. Sherhuidi hated this fiancée of hers. She even wanted to kill Wei Liangyue time and time again. This marriage was a marriage between the Hongmen sect and the Tiandao sect. To put it bluntly, Shi Huidi couldn't make the decision. However, she didn't want to marry such a man. The main character of this world was a male disciple of the Hongmen sect, Yu. He was a man with great luck. His cultivation was like a cheat. Moreover, he could kill people above his level. All the geniuses would be killed in an instant in front of him. All kinds of fortuitous encounters and magic treasures were piled up on him. An outstanding man would always have many women by his side. Even Shi Huidi was awed by the brilliance of this junior brother. Moreover, Yu loved every woman. He loved every woman. It was like he was collecting stamps. He took in all kinds of beauties and started the rhythm of a harem of 3,000 beauties. Yu also liked this cold and fairy-like Shi Huidi. When he found out that his senior sister's fiancé was such a man, he loved Shi Huidi very much. He gave all the cultivation treasures he obtained to Shi Huidi. At first, Shi Huidi refused. However, she was moved by Yiyu's words. Only when she was strong enough would she be able to escape from her fate. Shi Huidi hated that the original owner, Wei Liangyue, didn't work hard. She obviously had good cultivation resources, but she didn't care about anything. This world was very cruel. Without strength, there was no right to speak. The gap between her and Wei Liangyue would only get bigger and bigger. To put it bluntly, Shi Huidi was the bright moon in the sky and Wei Liangyue was the mangy dog on the ground. When Wei Liangyue found out that his fiancée was entangled with another man, he immediately brought people to deal with Yiyu. However, he was humiliated by Yiyu every time. Then, all the equipment on his body was plundered by Yiyu. Wei Liangyue was simply Yiyu's gift boy. Wei Liangyue and Shi Huidi were finally going to get married. During the wedding, Yiyu flew into a rage because of the beauty and snatched Shi Huidi away. Meanwhile, Shi Huidi, who was about to become his wife, was crying in another man's embrace. She looked as though she was moved beyond words. This made Wei Liangyue so angry that his liver hurt. Wei Liangyue's father was very protective of his son. When he saw his son being humiliated, he wanted to kill Yiyu. However, who was Yiyu? He had divine artifacts, divine beasts, and all kinds of trump cards. Wei Liangyue's father, who had underestimated his opponent, was heavily injured. He snatched the bride in front of the Heavenly Dao sect and heavily injured an elder of the Heavenly Dao sect. This was simply slapping the Heavenly Dao sect's face. How would they still have the face to stay in the cultivation world? Therefore, he wanted to kill Yiyu. No matter how powerful Yiyu was, he was just a powerful junior. He couldn't be compared to an old ghost who had cultivated for a long time. When he was surrounded by so many people, Yiyu was injured. In the end, he had to rely on his trump card to escape with Shi Huidi. Before he left, he even said that he would come back and destroy the sanctimonious Heavenly Dao sect. This marriage was ruined just like that. Wei Liangyue became a joke. His father was heavily injured. Yiyu was very insidious, causing Wei Liangyue's father to die not long after. From then on, the original owner had no one to rely on in the Heavenly Dao sect. Those who flattered him in the past were now looking at him with cold eyes. How much they flattered him in the past was how much they mocked and trampled on him now. Wei Liangyue had tasted the warmth and coldness of the world. At this time, he wanted to cultivate diligently. However, he realized that he didn't have any cultivation resources. Cultivation was originally a path that went against the heavens. Wei Liangyue's aptitude wasn't that good. It was simply a fool's dream to want to find Yiyu, who was better at cultivation. Only then did Wei Liangyue realize that without his father's protection, he couldn't even take a single step. When Yiyu came back to take revenge, Wei Liangyue was eliminated by Yiyu with a raise of his hand. It was as easy as blowing off dust. Looking at Shi Huidi, who was standing together with Yiyu, he shed tears of regret. He had lost everything for a woman. He lost his father, his woman ran away with someone else, and his former underlings were bullying him. Ning Shu lit a candle for this girl. Chapter 258. Wei Liangyue's wish, I don't want my father to die. His father lost his life because of him. He let down his father who loved him dearly. Ning Shu looked at this wish. It was only true between his father and family. There was no mention of revenge or Shirhuidi. The person that the original owner regretted the most was his father. Actually, this way Liangyue was just a small cannon fodder. He was just a small stumbling block on the male lead's path to glory. He was just a bug that prevented the male lead from hugging the beauty. He just needed to stomp him to death. Ning Shu sat up and started cultivating according to the original owner's memory. The original owner encountered all these things because he wasn't strong enough. If he was strong enough, Shirhuidi wouldn't have abandoned the original owner and thrown herself into the male lead's embrace. She would have shared a husband with someone else. Shirhuidi was such a proud person, yet she actually shared a husband with someone else. Only strength was everything. When he circulated his qi, his meridians were very difficult and his chest was very painful. Ning Shu clutched his chest. Shirhuidi was quite ruthless. However, Ning Shu stood from a woman's point of view and could understand Shirhuidi. Marrying such a notorious second generation was like jumping into a fire pit. It was the original owner's fault for not living up to expectations. His chest was very painful. Ning Shu gave up on cultivating and lay on the bed to sleep. He was really too tired. Ning Shu was awakened by the urge to pee. When he opened his eyes, he saw a person standing at the bedside. Ning Shu didn't think of attacking this man. Damn, I was sleeping and you were actually watching from the side. Too horrifying. Ning Shu suddenly punched out, but the middle-aged man grabbed his fist. He couldn't pull it back no matter how hard he tried. Stinking brat, you're capable now. You actually attacked your father. When facing Shirhuidi, you're acting like a coward. Useless thing. Wei Ming said in a bad mood. Ning Shu just remembered that he was a man. His bladder felt uncomfortable. Ning Shu said with a twisted face, "Father, can you leave first? Your son wants to go to the toilet." Then go to the toilet. Your father raised you since you were young. What place haven't you seen? Wei Ming sat on the chair. Ning Shu was speechless. She couldn't urinate in front of a man. Ning Shu felt like his bladder was about to explode. In the end, he left the room and found a secluded place. Trembling, he took out something and peed. After peeing, Ning Shu quickly fastened his pants and washed his hands many times. When he touched something soft, Ning Shu felt that his pure hands were going to rot. Ning Shu returned to his room and saw Wei Ming drinking tea. Wei Ming was tall and had the aura of an expert. Ning Shu walked in front of Wei Ming and said directly, "Father, I want to break off the engagement with Shirhuidi." Ning Shu decided to generously help these two people. If they didn't get married, Yiyu wouldn't come to steal the bride and Wei Ming wouldn't be injured by Yiyu. Wei Ming's expression froze as he sized up Ning Shu. "Brat, have you been beaten silly by Shirhuidi? Don't you like that girl a lot? She hates me. During the competition, she wanted to kill me. If it wasn't for the soft armor father gave me, I would have been killed by her." Ning Shu shook his head. "She doesn't like me." Wei Ming slammed the table, looking angry. "I said that Shirhuidi is arrogant and not suitable for you. But you like her. The Rainbow Sect wants the Heavenly Tao Sect to develop the Yuan Crystal Vein, so they made this engagement. Yuan Crystal is a cultivation item in this world. It contains Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi. Cultivators absorb Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi. Yuan Crystal Vein is related to the rise and fall of a sect. This woman is vicious and merciless. Sooner or later, you will fall in the hands of this woman." As he said this, Wei Ming glared at Ning Shu as if he expected better from her. Don't mess around with the impure female disciples of the sect. Ning Shu, then what about my engagement with Shirhuidi? Ning Shu was concerned about whether he could break off the engagement. Fighting with the male lead for a woman, he was simply impatient to die. Wei Ming looked at Ning Shu seriously. "How can marriage be so trivial? If you want to break off the engagement, then break off the engagement." Ning Shu opened his eyes wide and asked Wei Ming, "What should I do? Anyway, I don't want to be beaten by that woman Shirhuidi. I'll go talk to the sect leader and see what the sect leader has to say." Wei Ming sighed. "When you have nothing to do, you should cultivate more. Shirhuidi doesn't like you because you are useless. A man is despised by a woman, you don't feel embarrassed." "My chest hurts. Do you still have medicine?" Saying that his chest hurt to a man, This feeling was really good. When Wei Ming heard that his son's chest hurt, he directly pulled open Ning Shu's clothes. Ning Shu jumped in fright and hurriedly covered his chest, shouting, "What are you doing? Why are you covering your chest like a woman? Dad, let me see what's wrong with your chest." Wei Ming said unhappily. Ning Shu. Damn, he felt like his 3 views were being challenged. Ning Shu put down his hand and looked down to see a clear palm print on his chest. No wonder his chest hurt so much. Wei Ming's expression was ugly as he coldly said, "Sherhuidi is really ruthless. Useless thing, every time I see this woman, my legs go soft." Wei Ming gave Ning Shu a bottle of pills. Ning Shu took the bottle and pitifully said to Wei Ming, "Dad, I don't want to be beaten to death by Sherhuidi. You must break off the engagement for your son." Ning Shu's eyes were red and he almost cried. The original owner acted like a spoiled child in front of his father like this. "How did I give birth to a thing like you? It's all because I spoiled you too much. From tomorrow onwards, you are not allowed to take a single step out of your room. Only when you become a spirit master can you come out. When that time comes, Dad will get you a contract beast." Ning Shu made an oath sound. In this world, there were many spirit beasts and even mythical beasts. With a contracted spirit beast, one's battle strength would be even stronger. For example, the male lead Yiyu had a mythical beast. It was very powerful, but Yiyu was very low-key. Usually, he would let the mythical beast disguise itself as a trash spirit beast so that it could pretend to be a pig to eat the tiger. "Dad, don't forget about the engagement." Ning Shu shouted at Wei Ming's back. Wei Ming's strength was very strong. In the entire Tiandao sect, he was ranked at the top. Otherwise, how could Wei Liangyue, this second-generation ancestor, be like a fish in water in Tiandao sect? Wherever he went, there would be lackeys behind him. Ning Shu poured out a fragrant pill from the jade bottle and swallowed it. He felt a cool flow of energy in his body slowly healing his body. He used the little energy in his body to dissolve the pill. When the pill's effect disappeared, he stuffed another pill into his mouth. During this period of time, Ning Shu did not go out. He hid in his room to heal and cultivate. During this time, Wei Ming came to see his son. When he saw that his son was actually cultivating honestly and did not fool around with women, he was so shocked that his eyeballs almost fell out. He understood his son. He could not endure even a little bit of hardship. Now that he was willing to calm down and cultivate, it seemed like he was really stimulated by Sherhuidi. Chapter 259. Ning Shu really felt that this body's aptitude wasn't that good. Even after cultivating for a long time and receiving the crystals from Wei Ming, he still hadn't broken through to Spirit Master. Spirit Apostle, Spirit Master, Spirit Overlord. There were many more levels above that, but the original owner was just a beginner Spirit Apostle. He was so low that he actually dared to compete with Sherhuidi, who was a few levels higher than him. He was really looking for trouble. Could it be that he wanted to get closer to the goddess? It was too boring to stay in the room, so Ning Shu decided to go out for a walk. As soon as he went out, there were people greeting him and asking him if his injuries were better. Ning Shu looked at these people with disdain and ridicule, all kinds of envy, jealousy, and hatred. However, his words were very sincere. These people all knew that Wei Liangyue was generous and wanted to curry favor with him to get cultivation resources from him. Ning Shu felt that the original owner was quite pitiful. Only strength, great strength, could make others respect him. Even though the original owner was like a child that spread wealth in the Tiandao sect, he didn't make any true friends. Instead, others treated him like a fool. Also, because of Wei Ming, many people wanted to curry favor with him. It could be said that Wei Liangyue was living in a fake world. With Wei Ming's death, Wei Liangyue fell into the cruel reality. Along the way, he met female disciples. Some of them looked at Ning Shu with extreme disgust, while others looked at Ning Shu flirtatiously. They lifted their skirts to reveal their slender white thighs. They were just short of directly saying to Ning Shu, "Handsome, do you want to date?" Ning Shu's mood was very complicated. One day, he would be seduced by a woman. After wandering around, Ning Shu still felt that he should go back and cultivate. Facing all kinds of gazes, Ning Shu felt very stifled. Sitting on the bed, Ning Shu looked at the crystals in his hand. These crystals were a kind of transparent stone that contained impurities. They contained heaven-earth yuan qi that could be directly absorbed by people. Ning Shu suddenly thought of 2333's excessive energy consumption. This kind of heaven-earth yuan qi was also a kind of energy. He didn't know if it would be useful to 2333. 2333 system, sir, can you see if this crystal's energy is useful to you? Ning Shu called out in his heart. The energy level is too low. Thank you for your kindness. 2333 said directly. His disdain was obvious. Ning Shu, fuck. He felt as if he was asking to be humiliated. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have asked. Ning Shu, moi, if there is a suitable energy source, I will let you know, 2333 quickly said. Ning Shu absorbed the yuan qi from the crystal. After a long time, Ning Shu finally broke through the barrier of a spirit master and became a weak spirit master. The current Ning Shu could only be considered a beginner in cultivation. The yuan qi in his body would disappear after releasing a big move. After breaking through to spirit master, Ning Shu continued to cultivate. Wei Ming couldn't protect her all the time. If she was too weak, she could be killed in an instant if she wasn't careful. Then her mission would fail. Wei Ming came over and saw that his son had finally become a spirit master. He was comforted and released a spirit beast from the spirit beast bag. Ning Shu said, "This will be your contract beast from now on." Ning Shu looked at the large eagle that was almost as tall as a person. It had a sharp beak and a pair of sharp eyes looking at Ning Shu. She didn't know if it was an illusion, but Ning Shu felt that the bird looked at her with disdain. Being disdained by others was one thing, but being disdained by a bird was another. "Dad, this is my contract beast?" Ning Shu pointed at the large eagle. The image of the one-armed hero Yang Hua cuddling with the large eagle appeared in her mind. She didn't want a large eagle. Wei Ming patted the large eagle's closed wings and said, "This is a flash-wind eagle. It has a trace of the ancient Kuanpeng's bloodline and is very fast. If you encounter any danger, the flash-wind eagle can carry you and escape." It seemed that Old Man Wei also knew what kind of character his son was. The contract beasts he prepared were all used for escape. Cold Moon, release your spiritual power and imprint it in the flash-wind eagle's consciousness, Old Man Wei said to Ning Shu as he helped Ning Shu control the flash-wind eagle that might resist. Ning Shu asked Old Man Wei with a confused face, "How do I do it?" She really didn't know how to contract a spirit beast. She had never experienced this kind of world before. Moreover, the original owner didn't have any knowledge in this area. Old Man Wei's old face suddenly darkened. "I told you not to mess around with women. You don't even know this kind of basic knowledge. If you embarrass yourself like this again in the future, don't say that you are my son. Concentrate and imprint your consciousness in the flash-wind eagle's consciousness." It was so abstract. Ning Shu was still a little confused, but she still focused her mind. Then she thought about contracting this spirit beast. Then a red dot and a white dot appeared in her consciousness. The two small balls of light resisted each other. Ning Shu controlled the white dot and merged it with the red dot with difficulty. She immediately felt that she had a connection with the flash-wind eagle and could do anything she wanted. It was as if she was ordering her arm. However, Ning Shu was exhausted. Her whole body was covered in cold sweat as if she had just been fished out of the water. When Old Man Wei saw that Ning Shu had finally succeeded, he smiled. However, when he saw Ning Shu's sorry state, he immediately said in a bad mood, "Look at you. You are really embarrassing your father." "Okay, it was quite embarrassing. Keep this spirit beast bag. The flash-wind eagle is usually in this bag. The flash-wind eagle also needs to eat. If you have nothing to do, you can let it out and let it find its own food. If you find any good treasures, give it some to eat. It will be of great help to you when it grows stronger," Old Man Wei instructed Ning Shu. Ning Shu nodded. He took the spirit beast bag and opened it. He pointed at the flash-wind eagle that was standing there motionlessly and said, "Go in." However, the flash-wind eagle ignored Ning Shu. It still stood there motionlessly and stared at Ning Shu. "Go in," Ning Shu said again. Old Man Wei slapped his forehead. Looking at Ning Shu's stupid appearance, he simply didn't know what to say. Directly giving orders to a spirit beast in your consciousness. I really want to turn you into a disgraceful brat. I should have shot you into the wall back then. Ning Shu, is it really okay to say such dirty words in front of your son? He had never entered this kind of world before. There was always a process of adapting to new things. Every time he entered a new world, it felt like he had to rebuild his worldview. Ning Shu gave the order to the Flash Wind Eagle in his consciousness. Then, the Flash Wind Eagle turned into a ray of light and entered the Spirit Beast bag. Ning Shu shook the Spirit Beast bag. The Flash Wind Eagle that was so heavy and tall entered the bag, but the bag was still so light. It felt quite magical. Hanging the Spirit Beast bag on his waist, Ning Shu asked Old Man Wei, "Dad, how is the engagement between Shirhuidi and I? What did the sect leader say?" This matter can be taken slowly. Although it is an engagement, the two sects are sincere in their cooperation. If we break off the engagement like this, the Hongmen sect will think that we want to tear up the agreement, Old Man Wei said. Then he said to Ning Shu, "You brat, why are you so useless?" Ning Shu. Chapter 260. When Ning Shu heard that this matter was hopeless, he immediately felt bad. He quickly asked Old Man Wei, "Can't we cancel the engagement?" It's impossible to cancel the engagement for no reason. The Hongmen sect will definitely demand an explanation. Then our Tiandao sect will be at a disadvantage. It will be very difficult for us to cooperate. Wei Ming said. He was an elder of the Tiandao sect and had to consider the interests of the Tiandao sect. However, when he thought of his only son being beaten up by his fiancée, he couldn't help but feel angry. Shirhuidi was beautiful and talented. She was proud and arrogant. Even if Old Man Wei lied with his eyes wide open, he couldn't boast that his son was a top expert. Well, Ning Shu also knew that canceling the engagement was a bit difficult. He immediately said indignantly, "The Hongmen sect is much weaker than our Tiandao sect. Why do we need to cooperate to dig the Yuan crystal vein? We can dig it ourselves. Your table manners are too ugly. You won't go far." Old Man Wei patted Ning Shu's shoulder, causing half of Ning Shu's body to tilt. "Your father will deal with this matter. I can't let Shirhuidi bully you like this. Useless thing. You were beaten up by a woman and you still need me to step in. The 18 generations of Wei clan's ancestors have all been lost by you." Ning Shu's expression didn't change as he listened to Old Man Wei's words. He only said, "I will definitely work hard and not lose face for you. In any case, it's impossible between me and Shirhuidi. My talent isn't very good. Shirhuidi is walking in front of me. Sooner or later, I will be left behind by her." Old Man Wei nodded his head in relief and then left. He left Ning Shu a lot of Yuan crystals and told Ning Shu to work hard in his cultivation. Ning Shu began a life of cultivation that didn't leave the house. The only thing that was more distressing was going to the toilet. Every time, he couldn't hold it in. His bladder was about to burst. Although there was a psychological barrier, at least he didn't have his period. But after so many years of having her period disappear just like that, she always felt like she owed something in her heart. It was painful when her period came, but when it didn't, she kept thinking about it. She was so cheap. Ning Shu was too lazy to complain about the original owner's aptitude. Even if she cultivated non-stop all day long, her progress was still very slow. Ning Shu relied on Old Man Wei's love and ran to ask Old Man Wei for a heavenly treasure that could change one's aptitude. The results of her one day of cultivation were not even comparable to the results of the male lead's one breath of time. The gap between them was like a chasm between heaven and earth. It was truly heartbreaking. Old Man Wei roared at Ning Shu, "Do you think heavenly materials and earthly treasures that can change one's aptitude are cabbages? If I had such a thing, I would have fed it to you long ago." "Ning Shu, even Old Man Wei doesn't have such a thing? Yi Yu probably has it. Yi Yu's heaven-defying aptitude was accumulated from luck and fortuitous encounters. He definitely has a heavenly treasure that can change one's aptitude. But she couldn't beat the male lead. Was she supposed to let her father fight him? The reason she broke off the engagement was to prevent her father from coming into contact with Yi Yu. She was afraid that Old Man Wei would be injured by Yi Yu and steal the male lead's equipment. In the end, he would be killed by the male lead and give the equipment to the male lead. Her heart was so tired. It felt like she had been abandoned by the world. After a while, a secret realm will open. It's probably a senfu left behind by ancient cultivators. There are many things inside. Every sect will send their disciples in. When the time comes, I'll leave a spot for you. Go in and see if you're lucky enough to bump into a spirit herb that can change one's aptitude. Bump into it? Usually, she would bump into the male lead's arms. How could she bump into a cannon fodder? Am I going alone? Ning Shu looked expectantly at Old Man Wei with dark circles under her eyes. Old man, will you come with me? You won't be able to enter if your cultivation is too high. Old Man Wei rolled his eyes at Ning Shu. Don't worry. Other than the other disciples in Tiandao sect, I'll let the others take care of you. It was better to rely on herself than on others. What's more, if she encountered any treasures in the secret realm, not only would they protect her, they might even kill their fellow sect members. Cultivation was unscrupulous, plundering the heavens and earth to replenish oneself. But Ning Shu still had to go. Cultivation was about not advancing or falling behind. One had to be strong enough to survive and complete the mission. Old man, does this senfu not have an owner? Ning Shu asked. All these years, no one has taken this senfu. Every sect has treated this senfu as a training ground for their disciples. Old Man Wei looked at Ning Shu. Once you enter, you must protect your own life no matter what. Old man, I know. Ning Shu nodded. He inexplicably felt that this senfu should be the male lead's fortuitous encounter. The male lead would take the senfu. If he could destroy Yi Yu's fortuitous encounter, that would be good too. Yi Yu hated the original owner for killing his father and stealing his wife. Although the original owner didn't ask for revenge, if he could do something for the original owner, the points would be higher. For the rest of the time, Ning Shu persevered in cultivation every day. While he was at it, he also cultivated a peerless martial art. In his body, a coiling dragon-like chi force was formed. The chi force and the chi force in his body each occupied a space in his dantian. They did not invade each other. This made Ning Shu feel that the chi force and the chi force were like spiritual chi. In order to prepare for the secret realm, Ning Shu made a lot of preparations. He even filled his storage bag with hidden weapons and poisons. During this time, Ning Shu let out the flash wind eagle whenever he had nothing to do. He fed it with Qijin crystals or spirit herbs with abundant Qijin. Under Ning Shu's feeding, the flash wind eagle finally changed its attitude towards Ning Shu. However, it still looked down on Ning Shu's strength. Strength was very important. The cultivation world followed the law of the jungle. The strong were respected. Strength was the truth. Even a spirit beast looked down on him. When he reached the secret realm, he must find a heavenly treasure that could change his aptitude. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to escape the plot. Although his aptitude was poor, Ning Shu still cultivated day and night. At least he would gain something from his cultivation and slowly become stronger. A month later, when the secret realm opened, Old Man Wei came to pick up Ning Shu. The first thing he said was, "Your engagement with Sherhuidi has been annulled." Ning Shu didn't react for a moment. It was annulled so easily? So fast? Ning Shu only felt empty in his heart. The original Ning Shu still liked the Sherhuidi. When he heard the news, his body reacted like this. Old Man Wei rolled his eyes at Ning Shu. For this matter, you know the price your father has to pay. Your father has to mine for 50 years. Ning Shu, Father, you are an elder. How could you be sent to mine? Ning Shu quickly asked with an anxious expression. Seeing his son's concerned expression, Old Man Wei's expression softened. He said, Your father gave a set of cultivation methods to the Rainbow Sect. He also has to guard the Qijin crystal vein for 50 years. Ning Shu suddenly felt uncomfortable. Old Man Wei really loved his son. His son said that he wanted to annul the engagement and paid the price. Although the original Ning Shu's aptitude wasn't good, his father's love for him was the only warmth in his sad life. Therefore, he didn't want revenge, nor did he want Sherhuidi. He only wanted his father to live. Ning Shu slightly forced back the tears in his body. He said to Old Man Wei, "Father, thank you.